Put a little hot sauce on that ketchup.
Glad I hit record a few seconds later.
Oh boy.
Woo! We're out
Welcome
here.
everybody.
Oh wow, Jake's a real go-getter this week.
Yeah,
Carry
man.
on.
This is episode 160 of the Herpetoculture Podcast. I'm Jacob Brouts Longleaf from Tilia.
I'm Justin Smith of Palmetto Coast Exotics.
In this episode, go ahead, Chris.
God damn it.
You deserve
I'm Kris
it.
Painschab with Badlands Herpetoculture.
I'm sorry.
I know for the last 2
Stamped.
weeks we've announced that John Lassiter was going to be our guest this week. John had to reschedule last minute, and so Chris sent me a text saying, "I believe you need me."
Yes.
And
I was
it's
like, as
a
it turns out,
one-on-one,
he just knew.
one-on-one. You know what I mean? One-on-one.
Here we go.
Not mad about it with our man of the year.
That's right. Fellow Herpetoculture Network host of Corn
Yes.
Stars, Mr.
Oh,
Painschab.
Painschab.
Just another
Stab, baby. Just another
It's definitely
day.
so. That's Painschab, Painschab. For
Yeah.
anybody out there wanting to send me a
Yeah.
Mother's Day gift,
Painschab.
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 Happy
Wait, so
Cinco
it's-
de Mayo, boys. Let's do
yeah,
this.
I had fish tacos tonight. It's great.
Nice.
Yeah.
You know, big old giant fuck you to Napoleon III, right? Little
Yep.
little celebration of a little battle, right? Let's go. Fuck you, France. I mean that to every single French person listening.
I watched Sicario for the first time yesterday at work, so if that counts as
Oh,
some sort of
Let's go. You know what I'm saying?
Cinco
Let's
de
make
Mayo.
moves.
Benicio del Toro was
Let's
a
do it.
friggin' animal in that movie, man. It was awesome. Dude's a phenomenal actor.
Phenomenal.
Hell yeah.
Well,
Oh,
this episode was also brought to you by
blackboxcages.com.
where you can get the best racks and cages on the mother freaking market.
With the best lead times in the biz.
Best of the best
Best.
in all ways, shape, and
Always.
form
And form.
at all times.
At all times.
Forever.
Forever. We're not playing around when we say this, people. I don't think you understand.
This is not a joke.
They're not called Purple Box. They're not called Blue Box.
No.
It's called
Black
Black Box
Box.
because their stuff is so awesome. It's just this void of anything negative, and it will light your life, especially if you get the white PVC. It will be a beacon of light in the dark, dark, dark
It's called Black Box.
recesses
because
of your
in a
life and
vat-
her room.
In a vat of blackness, they are the only light.
It's so bright that
They
lights
are-
don't even want anything to do with it. It's
No.
like in Lord of the Rings when dude held up his staff and the light went everywhere and all the orc things just evaporated like a nuke. That's what happens.
Their stuff
That-
is so bright, it makes everything else black.
That dude has a name, and that is Gandalf. And we
Yeah.
will refer to him
That's-
only as Gandalf. I'm
That's
sorry.
right. The
Oh, man.
yeah, what other movies
Oh,
has he been in? I
Jesus.
forget.
Do the
Magneto.
Other ones, do the
yeah,
other ones
it was
even
Magneto
matter?
with his staff, and he went. "Meow." He said, "I have the power," and they all the darkness in the valley of Mordor just disappeared. That's what black box cages do when you get their
Yeah.
white PVC, and they're black. They're
They,
black
they
PVC.
make all your other cages just disappear.
They're
you
black-
Don't, you don't
they're-
even think about
their
them.
black PVC is like the Death
Silk.
Star before it gets blown up. It's just awesome.
This is going to be a
it's a
great night,
sheer-
guys.
It's a
It is.
sheer marvel
Oh.
of architecture.
It's beautiful.
And then there's Steve and his hot sauce, which are also awesome if you like hot sauce. You should totally grab some of those.
It'll
We
go
had
great
the
with your black box rack.
Albuquerque Rattlesnake Museum on Snakes and Stogies over Monday, and they have like a whole collection of like hot sauces and stuff. So me and Phil were talking about grabbing them a set to send to them to put on their display with all their stuff. So check that out. The Cottonmouth sauce, that's where it's at. When you're
Man, I coulda-
evaporating
I could have
nights,
slapped
could be
some.
slapping some Cottonmouth sauce on there.
Well, I
That
coulda-
would have been the icing on the Cinco de Mayo cake.
Dude, I was gonna say I could have slapped some cottonmouth sauce on those tacos tonight, boy. Oh,
What kind of
it would've
fish was it?
been, tilapia.
Oh,
I don't know. My roommate made it. So.
the ball python of fish.
Pretty much. The Food Lion special, baby.
I'm kidding.
Yeah,
I don't
dude.
mind tilapia.
I feed my water snakes tilapia.
That's where it came from. I have some extra for feeding.
No,
the roadie.
he went and bought some. I was like, "What kind of fish is this?" He's like, "Tilapia." I was like, "Bro, I have like a bunch of fillets in
Let
the
me know
freezer."
if
I got a
any
pack
extra.
of fillets in the freezer. You
I got-
dumb son of a bitch.
I could have gave you several of them. A whole pack, a whole bag,
Wasting money.
a whole bag of tilapia.
I got a box of frog
called a
legs
wad of
that I
snakes.
have yet to. I bought them last night, and by the time I got home, I was like, I ain't cutting all these in half.
Dude, I have a bunch of frog legs. I just have not gotten around to feeding off yet.
I cut
I need
'em in
life to
half.
chill out.
Yeah.
It's
my
not gonna
girlfriend-
happen.
No, it's
Chris
not.
is like, that's a tall order.
That's- you just
Jesus is
we're-
going to look on you, boy.
We're
and say,
almost
"I don't
there. No,
think
no,
so."
we're almost there. We're so close. I need a few other things to get fixed and calm down. And
As those waves crash bigger and bigger and the ocean swells, the Lord will look down on you. And as you ask for forgiveness, He will say, swim harder.
I don't.
Swim harder, Jake.
Just swim harder.
I
all the
don't-
time.
It was some version of a DJ Shadow song where they were talking about like the apocalypse, and he talked about the end of times, and he was talking about something about you asked God why, and all he did was stare.
And all he did was.
And all I imagined
laugh.
was like Fantasia with a giant demon thing at the end,
Oh,
not
yeah.
saying a word, just looking at you and just giggling, saying. Ant.
Last 6 years of my marriage, boys. You know what I'm saying? We're just getting to the next day. Nah, I'm just kidding. My wife's the best.
God likes to pick off my feelers and watch me squirm.
Oh, man.
Oh god,
The-
dude! I
oh.
keep forgetting people can't hear this music in the background that we got, and I'm over here like
Oh,
beat
y'all got
bopping
some
to it. And I'm
music?
like,
Dude,
wait,
I do
I
it all the
probably
time.
just look like a freaking idiot. Yeah, Justin's
My-
got like disco music bopping in the
it's
background.
not disco
here, and
music.
I'm
It's
like,
just
oh.
a house focus playlist. It's just nice instrumental stuff.
House
in the
music? What are you, a fucking frat guy?
My
What do
neighbor's
you-
playing
that doesn't-
the weed eater guitar.
Jesus,
It's pretty
the
dope.
weed eater guitar.
background.
It's the best guitar, boy. I love
What
the sound
beer
of
is
a good
that you
weed.
have? And were you smoking a
It's
La
probably a
Imperiosa?
disgusting IPA.
Yeah, it's a La Imperiosa. I can't see me, so
There you go.
There you
Is
go.
it Corona?
Oh, let's go. Yeah, well, it was the
Looks like
longer
it.
one, but I clipped the end off of it because we had some tobacco leaf issues. These are, handmade, individualized items, so sometimes you do have imperfections in your roll.
Sometimes Chris names them.
Do I name
I
them?
did. So I did move the table over some and my chair because the camera. It was either like you saw the crap in the corner behind me, or you saw none of me. So I had to shift things over a little bit. I hope you don't mind. Not that it.
I honestly
You don't
can't
have
even tell
Yeah, I
at
was
all.
gonna say it's not like you get a
No.
choice anyways.
Dude, I'm
I'm
almost
a-
starting to wonder if we shouldn't go with like the full camera again, because it kind of like throws me off in the camera when I go.
What
to
do you
look
mean
at
it
you.
throws you off?
I don't know. It's just kind of weird. Also, why do you look so small in your camera?
Who?
You.
Jake, I want you
I
to
am
sit on
tiny.
Justin's
Because I'm
lap like a
sitting lower.
kid visiting the Easter Bunny, and y'all
I'd
just
rather
share
we
a
didn't.
mic.
That sounds horrible.
It'd be cute as shit.
That'd be great, dude. Because like if people watch the cameras, like I almost look like taller than you.
Yeah,
But if I went over and sat in your lap right now, people would be like, "What?"
you'd be like, bloop.
It'd be like it'd be a little, just a little, I look like
It's
a
an
little
optical
child. I'd
illusion.
be like a little child sitting in Santa's lap.
But anyways, on today's menu, we have these. I gotta get in focus on the camera. These are Happy Dad.
Tecate.
They're Happy Dad seltzers. They're gluten free, which is good for my
Thank God.
my gluten allergy, and they're like 100 calories. I started with a beer, and then I realized I'm gonna have too many beers, and then so I was like, I'm gonna drink some of these, and then
hydrate.
I'll get back on the beers. I've only got like 13 left, so that should last the next hour.
Yeah.
We just it's a little Cinco de Mayo.
I was down a
Down
little,
in
a little.
Tejas.
I was down a little Cap Morgan before I got here. That's why I was a little amped up when
My
I rolled
man.
in.
Yeah,
So-
this
I
might
had-
be
I
this
had
is gonna
water.
be Chris's lost episode. Shout out to Casey Cannon. Love you. I am on a pinch.
Well,
I
real
wish I
quick,
had some beer. Damn it! I'm actually
today,
meant to bring a beer.
I think there might be a Modelo left in the fridge if you want it.
Oh,
Are you being for real?
Yeah, I don't.
socially appropriate
we're
as
not
well,
gonna
my
drink
man.
Someone left it. You're just gonna have to look around in there. There's nothing in there, so it'll be easy to find. Yep. Maybe the bottom drawers or something. So today we started the Snakes and Stogies May raffle. That is officially off the ground and going. Check it out at herpeticulturenetwork.com. So we have a really nice female low expression red coastal from Eric Hernandez at Bazooka's Ectotherms. Look, he found it. There it is. We have one of these Snakes and Stogies custom cigar band, Tumblers. It's not the same style. It's one of the bigger, like it's skinnier and then it gets fatter, like the traditional Tumblers. So we're gonna have that, and then Jeff and Kendra donated some powder orange isopods, 1 gallon of oak leaves, and some magnolia pods. So really cool stuff. We're gonna draw for that at the end of the month. I think the 28th is the last Monday of the month, and that's when we'll do our drawing. We've already raised a couple $100.
That's awesome.
If you have any questions, feel free to message us. Message me.
Yeah, don't say us as in me, because I won't be able to tell you anything about it.
Jake doesn't even know it exists.
Yeah, I knew it existed. You just don't involve me in things.
You haven't been in the group in like a week.
What do you mean?
You pop in
Which
like
group
once
chat?
every like
Which group?
72
Which one?
hours.
Which one? The one on Instagram?
Any of them.
I guess that's true. I'm busy,
So I'm like,
man.
I
You know how
know,
busy I am at
look,
work?
Look,
I just moved.
that's why.
Fuck.
I just Jake's got a lot going on. This is one less thing. He don't have to worry about it.
Those
Yeah.
waves are
Snake.
crashing harder, Jake.
It's the
Dude,
snakes and
you
stuff.
can-
I
you can
suggest
ask-
you
can ask
swim
Chris about that.
harder.
I'm swimming, man. I'm swimming as hard as I can. Chris knows. I took me like a day and a half to reply back to you the other day.
Anyways,
And Chris is my boy, man. I'll message Chris back.
We're homies.
this raffle is benefiting the Asclepius Snakebite Foundation, who we have helped out with raffles in the past. Me and Phil really like them a lot. They're doing good stuff. They're not really affiliated with us, in any official capacity. We just like supporting them, so this raffle is for them. Check it out, herpeticulturenetwork.com. There are some rules and stuff that apply, so go read those and
Follow the
get
rules.
some raffle slots.
Don't be a dick.
That was a good episode with Phil the other day with them. It was great on Monday.
Yeah, it was cool. I wasn't expecting to have the whole thing turned out to be like a virtual tour more or less of the museum, and that was not what we were expecting. Like Phil kind of gave me a rundown of like what those guys do and stuff, and I was like, okay, cool, let's do it. He set it up. I guess he knew Mike, and so I didn't really know what to expect going into it, and
it was cool.
It was a good episode. Some of the best episodes are the ones where we have like no idea what the plan is. Like we don't have a plan. We don't know really anything about people we're having on. Phil was well aware of them. I was unfamiliar, and so I was like, okay,
rock and roll.
Let's see what happens.
There's that uninitiated experience of excitement when you absolutely have no idea. You have a general idea what you're going to be talking about, but it's kind of just a random occurrence that happens, and it's great, man. It's good stuff. Definitely good.
Happy accidents, as they call them in the
accidents. My goodness.
Breeding updates. Female corn, Ladies Island corn, finally dropped. I was starting to get a little concerned for her well-being.
Who would have thunk you actually know how to breed snakes?
Hey, right? I didn't.
I didn't either.
13 eggs. They all look really good.
13 eggs, boy.
Yeah,
it's
she laid 10.
Yeah, I remember. I meant to mention that.
She
That's
laid
a lot.
10, and so I pulled those, and I couldn't tell if she was done or not, and I wasn't going to pull her out of the egg box to check, and so I just left her, and then I came back 3 or 4 hours later, and there was 3 more, and she was done. So I took those, threw her some food, and she's already going into a shed cycle. It's immediate.
Nice.
Holy crap. Just turned around.
She looked pretty good.
Dude, she looks...
Normal.
I talked about it on Monday. She was pretty thick going in, and so I didn't really feed her a ton leading up to egg laying because I was like, she's got so much going on, she can probably afford to handle egg laying and stuff and not really lose a ton of resources. After she laid them, she looked normal. She looked like the weight she should have been.
Right.
Which was kind of exactly what I was sort of going for.
Yeah.
So she looks freaking perfect, man. She looks fine. There's she doesn't look deathly like chondros and stuff do after they lay, where they look like just complete garbage.
Yeah.
So it's good.
Good.
The female ghost tessera from Kris that I am borrowing, she had her prelay. She took a meal too. So I'm expecting her to drop within the next week or two. Female Dion's, she's looking like she's going to pop. I think she's got another week or so. The Baird's female that I paired up with my hypo male, She is in a shed cycle right now, so that's a prelay. Loma Alta looks gravid. I looked at her this morning a little bit. She's looking like she's got something in the works, which is awesome. Thorn scrubs are completely useless. The other female, Beaufort County, that I paired, she had a shed. I thought maybe it was a prelay, but it was like a day or two before the Ladies Island female. It's kind of hard to tell if she's gravid. She is a little on the thicker side. It's also her first year, so I'm kind of on the fence. I've had that mail in with her off and on for the last like 2 months. So she's trying, but I don't know if anything's going to happen with that or not. So we'll see. I don't know. And then the Bimaculata, she looked gravid at one point. She kind of still does now. I haven't had any prelay action from her yet, so I put the mail back in with her a couple days ago. So Jansen I shed. I marked that down as a possible prelay, so I'm going to be checking eggs in that box within the next couple weeks as well. We'll see. So a lot going on.
It's awesome, man.
Kris, we're getting a lot of feedback on your end. Oh,
There we
Is
go.
it?
for some reason.
No,
Am I
you're
all right?
good. You're good.
Oh yeah, I guess they kind of
See?
go away. I don't know. It just got loud for a second.
It
was
did
weird.
when he picked it up and was moving it
Yeah.
around. I think it was picking up
Oh,
in the background noise.
sorry.
You're good.
Yeah.
You're good
Yeah.
now.
No, you're good. Yeah,
You
no, it
can't
went away.
hear the fan. I just moved the fan closer.
No, you're good.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
It's because
yeah,
I think
no.
it's because I was moving the fan. I'm sorry, guys.
No, you're good, man. It's all good.
I pulled out the Jansen and did a deep clean on their cage for the first time in a minute because I don't like to go in there much and change things up, but it was kind of time. Took out the pothos, got an assessment on sort of where that's at because some of the soil looked like it was kind of disappearing. So pulled them out. She's huge. Not gravid or anything like that. It's just a big ass snake.
Yeah.
So it was cool to see them and sort of interact with them very briefly for about 30 seconds. Yeah, they're very hateful little creatures.
Man, that one was fine when I grabbed it. when it
That's the
snuck
boy.
out
The
cage.
female, he's not that bad, but that female, man, she was puffing out and essing and like coming. Like I had her tail right. She was resting, like her front half was resting on the tub, so I was holding that, and I had that short hook, that little hook, the mini hook I use. For whatever reason, I'm like 6 foot snakes. This is perfect.
Yeah.
And so I had her resting on the front, and she started arcing, and she turned, and she was looking like she was about to come at me. So I had something in this hand, and so I put that down and grabbed the hook and kind of had to like push her away and then just put her back in. But it was, when you see those things and they're like doing their display where they're all like puffed up and flattened out and stuff like that, and their mouth kind of opens up a little bit like they're trying to do something, it's like I'm on the wrong end.
They
Yeah,
do like a
dude.
slow tongue flick, right?
Yeah.
It's so
That's
cool,
so cool.
man. I
Those
love
are
their
badass.
tongue flick. Yeah, dude. Those are amazing, man. I love the Jansen eye. Those are
Cool snakes.
I'm not
Those are
big
really cool
on
snakes.
I'm not big on a lot of the Ganisoma stuff, but
Why not, you nerd? You're missing
I don't
out.
know. But I really like the Jansen eye.
Maybe if
man.
it was an Erodia Jansen, you'd be all about it.
Probably.
Probably.
Imagine an arboreal Nerodia that just flings shit at you.
Oh, God. That'd be terrible.
Oh God! Oh God!
No, they are awesome snakes, and
They're beautiful, man. They're just
Um,
gorgeous.
Yeah.
there's a book that I need to get that's available in like Switzerland right now that Billy has that's like a compilation of papers, and then there's some information in there I need to get, but it's like $120 shipped, so I got to figure out a way to get that. And I don't. If I'm gonna pursue those more, I think I do need to get my hands on another pair, but at least another female. And I haven't seen any of those for sale lately at all.
No.
Not at all.
So I don't know what's Daniel Schwint. He just got a really nice clutch from his girl who laid. This is why I think maybe mine was a prelay shed again, because he had a female that laid a small clutch that he hatched out probably 4 or 6 months ago, if I had to guess. And so he got this other really nice clutch, and I asked him if it was a different female, if it was the same one. He said the same one. And they, like, from everything I've read, they're not super prone to double clutching like the Oxycephalomar. It could, whatever I read could be complete bullshit, but it sounded like they were kind of a one clutch a year sort of snake. Like they weren't going to be cranking out eggs like the Boiga do and the, some of the other stuff. So he got another clutch. They look perfect. So that made me wonder, it's about the same time frame because his female laid, shortly before mine did. And then there's the shed from this girl. And so I'm wondering if they're sort of on a similar time frame and that maybe she's going to lay again. So that's why I just marked it down as a PLS. And then I'll check, periodically check the box and see what happens. So,
do you keep those cohabbed year round?
Yes.
Nice. God, there's not another snake that looks like that. It's just the coloration. Not a lot of things that have heavy, deep, iridescent blacks have that other monotone kind of monochromatic look. It's cool. It
was only a couple of years ago that I even realized they were a thing, because I think I was cruising one of the classifieds or something, and maybe it was like an underground ad that had them or something, and I was like, what the hell is that?
Yeah,
it's like the coolest thing I had ever seen. And of course I talked to Rob Stone, and Rob's like, oh yeah, man, we used to have those way back when. And he's like, no one's, there's not a ton of people breeding them, like they're not that easy to breed. And I don't know, we'll see. But it was so cool. Like immediately I was like, I had to look up all the information I could and all the pictures and stuff, and I was like obsessed immediately. Are you going to bed?
What's neat about those is there's not a ton of information out there,
right?
And now as the years go, keeping them, you can kind of be a steward of that. Put it in writing, put it on the social media platforms, YouTube and stuff like that. It's gonna be cool.
I definitely plan on doing an article on sort of the whole process with them. Once I want to do that, once I have eggs, once I have babies, and so I can get the overall experience, because they're really, aside from the ganyasoma.org site, there's really not a ton of like detailed information on that genus, and we're talking about true ganyasoma, so Jansseni and Oxycephalum. You see, you'll find a bunch of like very similar Wikipedia type articles about them where it's more or less all the same information, but as far as like something detailed in terms of like, this is when I had them together, this is what I noticed during this time, this is when I got eggs, this is when they hatched, like this is what I incubated them at, this is what I did for incubation, like the whole thing. Like I really want to do a nice article on that,
kind of quote unquote the care sheet, right? Like
yeah.
But more than just a bunch of bullet points, actually getting into these were the temperatures, these were the swings, these were the seasons, this was barometric situations that caused things. It's cool, man. I'm stoked on those. That's great. I'm glad you got them.
That is a big part of the fun, at least. It's not like trying to be like the Jansseni guy, like that's kind of the thing with like some of those more hard to acclimate, hard to keep alive sort of stuff that requires much more sort of attention than a lot of other things. It's like, I don't want to be the guy for those, but it's like to not have anything to really rely on as far as what's on the net and stuff like that, where it's almost going back 30 years, where you didn't have that information at your fingertips, and like trying to tweak things and learn it year to year until you can really get it nailed down. And there's not that many people even keeping them really in the US, at least on any serious level. So like I'm talking to Daniel Schwint periodically about his eggs and what he's been doing. He's asking me about mine, and like there's a small circle we're sort of in cahoots and sort of,
it's cool, man,
talking about it. And talking to Matt Most and Rob Stone obviously is a big help, because both those guys are pros when it comes to the old world rats and stuff like that.
So. Absolute well of knowledge, right? Like just endless.
Yeah. So having that first clutch, even though they all went south,
it's a clutch, man.
It's a clutch, and that was man, I was almost in tears. Like the day I found them, I was just like, holy shit. Like I stuck my hand in the egg box like I had done previously and didn't. I was like, nothing's going to be in here. Yeah. And then I felt something, and I was like, what? And then I felt around, and I was like, that's a fucking egg. And that's when I was like, what? Like,
in most situations, when you have infertile eggs with snakes, it's usually the male's situation, right? So maybe it was out of season for the male, yet the female was ovulating for maybe a second time that season, because like you said, that was later on, and maybe now you've experienced a photo cycle that's different, maybe a potential feeding cycle, which I don't know your schedule on, or if you even keep a feeding schedule.
I really don't.
But obvious temperature and barometric pressure swings through the winter that might have kicked them off, man, and just done it. So
yeah, it's from what I read from the ganyasoma.org site. If you miss them regularly, that seems to really get them going.
Yeah.
Like it sounds like there was a noticeable difference between when you missed them almost daily and when you don't in terms of breeding activity. So that would make sense considering that they're from Sulawesi. Like that's the island they're from. I guess it's islands, that little area, but they're just, man, they're impressive snakes. And it's one of those things I've learned pretty quickly. If you work with them really slowly, like if you have them out, you don't make any fast movements. You kind of take your time. Like they're pretty mellow, but it's like as soon as you do anything reactionary or you jerk or you twitch or something, like then they get fired up, and it's like you're working with like a sleeping bear. You got to tiptoe a little bit.
Yeah.
But the moment you knock over that china and it shatters, it's
the opposite of like a ornery Pitiophis. For some reason, if a bull, it's always bull snakes or a pine. My black pines get a little fussy once they start getting that kind of. They put their mind into defensive measures. If you start being slow or timid or moving around, you're probably getting bit.
Yeah.
or at least they're going to strike at you. But if you go right at them and just like, nah, man, I'm picking you up, calm down.
Confidence.
They're
Yeah.
They're
confidence
just
is key, man.
It's the opposite with the Jansenite. That's cool though, man. I'm like I said, I'm stoked. That's great. I'm glad they're in your hands. I'm glad they're doing so well for you.
Yeah.
I got a male Castagna Motley from Mike Kosicki.
Mm-hmm.
He offered that. Since you don't
that's an Everglades rat snake. I don't care about anybody.
It's not though, but like that Castagna stuff, you don't see a ton of. And so when Mike was like, "You have any interest in this?" I was like, "Hell yeah, I do," because I'd love to see that plugged into like blood red stuff and then breeding some of that back. And just there's all kinds of stuff that I can see myself doing with that color, that morph. And then I had the Amel Buff, which it's Pos Het Red Factor from Ryan Cox that came in today. So that's going to be the boyfriend to that Amel mask you sent me that bit the shit out of me this morning.
And she is
really
she is either sun-kissed or het sun-kissed, because it was 2 het sun-kissed that made her.
See, I'm thinking she's got to be, because that head is white. Like that head it's a very noticeable difference, like you would see with the sun-kissed. Like it is clearly a different.
She's like a perfect super mask, right? It's such a weird snake.
It's an odd one.
That snake was like essentially given to me. It was weird. It was a trade at a show. I gave a guy a couple, a breeder, Russell Southard. He vends local shows and stuff. Does a lot of corn snake, and we had traded. I had some Ultramel stuff. I like to think my Ultramel Tessera stuff is very nice, very red, and he liked the way my grow outs were progressing, so I gave him some of those, and that female was part of the group that I got from him. And dude, it has that like split down its back. It's like almost like a paradoxing on its pattern, which is so weird. It's a cool snake, man. I just had nothing to. When I was picking through his stuff, I was like, this thing's just absolutely odd looking. And he sent me the list of what it was paired, and I was like, so it's sun-kissed, right? And he's like, I don't think it's sun-kissed. I think it's like super mask. And I was like, but it's got belly checkers. And he's like, dude, I don't know what's going on with the snake, but it's badass. So
yeah, well, that's the kind of stuff it's going to be sort of fun to play with.
Yeah.
Kind of like how I was talking about, it'd be fun to get a pair of something from PetSmart and see what hets are in there and just by breeding them down the line.
Oh, God, yeah.
The cool thing about that snake is we know the genetics, right? Like I have the pairing, and it's paired from snakes that he produced. So it's like 3rd generation in his collection. But he was like, this one, I don't even think he had it for sale. I was like, that's the one I want. Sometimes there's something else going on. I don't know. Yeah. Maybe something that's going on with that paradoxing or whatever. It's got that weird thing on its back.
Well, I'm starting to wonder if Sunkist is just like the finger eater gene too, because that het Sunkist male I have is freakishly on all the time compared to any of the other corns I have. That Sunkist male, if it moves, it's food, and he's going to try and go for it. And when I took out that little female this morning, for whatever reason, she's been chill since I got her. I took her out, and she grabbed my finger.
She hungry.
It was like, and I was like, what the hell happened? That little, so the other female you sent me, that thing is a nut. Oh my God. Dude, you did not tell me that anytime I'd be opening that tub, it would come springing out.
Yeah.
At the slightest breeze or touch. Like that thing has ended up on my floor. Like every time I've opened that tub, if I do anything, it's gone. I'm like, what? Like,
it's a psychopath.
Dude.
So That snake is so my male Tessera Motley Ultramel paired het Annery, excuse me, paired to Absinthe, the snake you have, the Ghost Tessera. That's her.
She's a sweetheart.
Yeah.
How is this her progeny?
Dude, I know, and she's like the only snake out of that clutch is like that. But in that clutch, I got a whole bunch of Annery Tesseras, normal Tesseras.
Is it related to the ones that Jake has?
It is same father, and I believe the Tessera Annery that Jake has. Jake is that one het 50-50 het Ultramel, het AML, and then het Motley, but also het Hypo. Do you remember?
I
5-gene
don't think the hype. What? I'd have to look. I have it written down.
I think it is. It's related to one of them.
I've got a thing of
100%.
masking tape like this big on the front of the tub with everything. It's like
I keep everything on a Excel spreadsheet so I could just be dumb about it. Just be like, I typed it in. I know what this is. And then every year I do all my pairings and then my possibles. And so whenever, and then I just like type in like, it was 28 different possibilities or whatever. And these happened. And, but yeah, that clutch, that was a great clutch, but some of the babies came out a little lighter. And so I don't know if I don't know. I know that it's not hypo because my male definitely is not hypo because he's been paired to ghosts before. And when he was paired to ghost females before, I got no babies that were lighter like that. But I kept the best looking light Annery, and then you have the best looking light classic colored one. I literally don't know. That's a great looking snake too. She's got good coloration, but yeah, that one's that was a little psychopath.
Dude.
Yeah,
dude, I'm excited about my little corn morph project.
Great,
man. They're sweet, man. They're so cool. They eat great. They're some of the calmest snakes in my collection. They're awesome. That Tessera, dude. Oh, I love that Tessera.
I think your Tessera is clutch mate to Justin's Tessera. That was a Tessera to Tessera pairing.
The original female I got from you, that little one.
The little demon snake.
The 5-gene demon.
5-gene demon.
Yeah.
Because she would be het hypo, het ultra mel, which would be either ultra or AML, one or the other. Het motley. There's no pos hets in there because I've tried him to a bunch of different morphs. That's not true. There's like 30 morphs. Pos het, scaleless. Sure, let's go with it. We're riding it out. I don't know. There's a million things that could be happening.
Snake.
Everything with the kitchen. There will always be in the core snake hobby. It's great, and it's a hobby, right? Like just corn snake stuff is its own little niche. It's a subsect of the hobby. There'll always be residual genetics, right? We're not ever going to be able to breed that out unless we start with a wild caught animals. You just can't. You could never be 100% on pos hets. So
right.
That's not true. Let's not say 100%. Don Soderbergh can probably be like, I know this snake is not het AML, right? And so, but he's got 40 years.
That Castagna Motley I got was produced by Don. The 2018.
Castagna AMLs are called mandarins, and they're gorgeous. They're gorgeous. Castagna is one of those things that just doesn't get looked at a lot.
It's talking to Sarah and watching some of her videos and stuff. It was one of those morphs. It sounds like it was on the verge of sort of disappearing because it just wasn't getting enough attention. But I really like that sort of just brownish oaky sort of burnt look. And I'm at some point it would be nice maybe at Daytona if I could find one. But finding a female Castagna, really, I don't care if it's a Motley or normal or spot. Stripe or anything like that, but because it is a recessive, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So it'd be cool to plug that stuff into like the blood red thing down the line. I mean, we're talking like years and years out, so I don't like to count my chickens before they hatch. But I have the long vision and then sort of the short term stuff, and it's like I would like to do that. Whether that happens between now and then, who knows? But that's sort of the aim point.
The cool thing is we're at that kind of age and status, maybe maturity in our collections where like we have clearly defined paths for everything we're doing, but in 2, 3, 4 seasons that gets to change. You know what I mean? We get to start saying, okay, maybe I'm gonna just make a whole bunch of heads and I'm gonna do this, and I've got patternless San Diego Gophers, I've got stripe double albino San Diego Gophers. Maybe one year I just make a whole bunch of heads and I keep some back, and that's for me. There's obviously a financial dividend to make in that. We as a group have kind of been talking about the financials in selling animals. If you make a bunch of heads, who wants to buy them, right? And that's when you start breeding for yourself and not for others. Sometimes we're all in this for us, right? Like we want to do this for us, but yeah, I don't know. That's and regardless, it's going to be exciting. It's going to be fun.
But then you also have guys like me who like the hets, like I've messaged people like, from you, even you specifically, I wanted a het from the, albino San Diego stuff.
Yeah.
I honestly, I wasn't going to get a pair if I couldn't get a het because I really like the wild type stuff, so, and a lot of people want to start, or, make their own versions of it. Like I messaged somebody about, moonshine yellow rats. Or greenish rats, and I specifically asked for hets. I want some hets because I like the wild type look, but I want to be able to make the moonshine. Just because. So there's always going to be a market for that. Because people can. Hets are good because not everybody wants to pay the price for a visual, and they might be like me, like to make their own. So there's always going to be.
Or if you already have that stuff on hand and you just need a het.
Yeah, and you just need a het. The hets are always good to have on hand.
When I bought my Chinese beauties, I could have bought a pair of calicos, and the calicos are gorgeous, and I like the hypo calicos. But if just a non-hypo calico, they're not photogenic, which those snakes are just not photogenic anyways. But there's something about the non-hypo. Me and Rob Stone actually talked about this recently. The non-hypo calicos have this really gritty, earthy, bared eye coloration, yet leucistic thing going on. They stand out. The hypo calicos gorgeous, but they're a predominantly light colored snake. They have that, gosh, I don't really know the right words to put into it, but they have this very pastel-y, Eastery, springy vibe, and the standard calicos have this really neat, I don't know, stormy skies. I don't know the best way.
They're just fancy palmettos.
They're fancy palmettos. But when I bought them, I could have bought a pair of just straight calicos and maybe even had hypo or whatever. But I wanted a het. I wanted a wild type. Because, good God, imagine if you had never seen an 03 Ophis and somebody showed you a picture of a Chinese beauty and was like, oh, by the way, this is a snake that you never heard of. Your mind would just be blown because they're gorgeous. They're 5 snakes in one. So that's just one of those, that ideal that, having the wild type and having the het gives you just so much appreciation for both. It's cool, man.
Yeah, man. I love my wild types, man.
I am very excited to raise up those that from the clutch from last year, those Ladies Island corns, and breed those back to either mom or dad. Cool, man. Down the line, just to see what happens.
Dude, there's one. I'm telling you, man. One of the ones you gave me. We need to breed some of them, like specifically for like
F1 back to F1.
The biggest saddles on the planet. Like I've got
like 1 or 2 of the holdbacks of mine. I noticed the other day had.
Like,
oddly large saddles.
Dude, one of the ones you gave me, I mean, I noticed it the other day. I got a fresh shed. They're actually getting big now because they're eating fuzzies. And dude, I'm talking massive saddles on this thing. As soon as I saw it, I was like, this is something we need to work on. Like these just
breeding F1s back to F1s
saddles.
It's so exciting.
Yeah. I've got
take that and run with
F1s.
it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
get a male up to size by next year and give it a go. He might be a little smaller young, but also might get the job done.
Yeah, damn right. Right.
Where do you think so many of these projects came from?
Right.
There's, gosh, we look at these things that are. I don't want to say simple, but like you look at corn snakes, we look at recessive genetics, we look at simple codominant genetics, and we say, okay, well, we know that the albino made heads, and now we take the heads back to the albino, and now we get some percentage of albinos. But man, those selective breeding projects, the long term, the grind, you put in the work. There's so much work to be done with every one of these. I hate the term, but you get to play God, right?
Yeah,
you're playing. You're Darwin. Cool. You're playing evolution. You can pour your soul into an animal like a Dion's rat snake and have these shatteringly red snakes that are just, dude, they don't look like that.
Right.
Look, variable king snakes. Me and Jake were talking about it.
Holy shit.
Leonis?
Yeah, Leonis. Yeah, this is
Oh
an
my
animal that's
God,
already
dude.
variable in the wild, right? Like this
I
is something that
regret
has
getting
multiple
rid of
faces.
mine so much.
My female is gravid right now. She already had her prelay shed. Now I bred her back to a male that was the same lineage, so I'm anticipating all the babies looking the same. But I've seen clutches where it's like you take a milk snake phase to a milk snake phase, you got 50% milk snake phase, then you got buckskins and you got pin bands and dude, but they're so we do not appreciate those guys. That's why I'm excited for you to have Lassiter on. We don't appreciate the work that was put into these animals for 40 years enough. You know what I mean? Just season after season of line breeding and getting stock from somebody else that was similar so that they can outcross. And I take your animals. Oh, you have the snake that has big blotches. Okay, well, I have this snake that has big blotches. Let's start pairing these together. Okay, now we've outcrossed. Let's go 2 or 3 more generations into this. And it's like, oh, yeah, now we've all, saturated back down to a Okiti phase or Okiti phase. And man, there's so much. There's so much to it.
That's why I'm super excited. Just long term, the next decade at least is my plan for the Ladies Island stuff and seeing what happens and
I want to take a couple more from your clutch if you'll let me take some, man. I want to build this, man. I think we can make it because they're so unique. Like I don't know. It's not an Okati, but it almost is. And they have this really just unique, coloration. And there's not many island locality corns out there, specifically,
people use that term. We're on the precipice of greatness. That's not us. We're on the ground floor. We're just starting. We're just pitching ideas around. We're Justin's put that girl to the Tesla ghost girl to a wild caught male. 50% of that clutch, give or take, is going to be Tesla,
which I'm pretty stoked about. Yeah. Imagine that darker Ladies Island male is the one that went to Absinthe.
Yeah.
I hope that's in terms of Okatis and wild caught stuff. I love the ones that are just that deeper brown, the highlighter orange ones and the Jasper area are awesome.
They're awesome,
and that's what I was talking about. That's why these are so unique because there's so much brown on them. The corn snake and brown is people will be but it's until you see it,
like a dark,
you don't understand
kind
it.
of brown.
Though. It's
for me. Well, we had
oak.
We had a female when I was a kid that was that dark, deep brown, and I just remember when we got that snake. We were in a Walmart parking lot or something. And we had it in a shoebox because my dad had just picked it up from somebody. I just remember looking at it and being like, this thing is freaking smoking. And so now when I see those deep, dark brown corns, I don't know. That's what does it for me. And that's what I like. But this clutch is going to be different because this is another Ladies Island male to that same female I produced last year, but they're much more close in color. That male is almost a perfect in between that darker male and that female. So I'm curious to see what happens there. But that darker male, I'm really anxious to see what the Tessera normals look like from those there.
Yeah, and I mean you're talking about the morph stuff earlier, and then the selective breeding stuff that's I feel like too many people are on one side or the other, morphs, selective breeding. Selective breeding can make morphs incredibly different, I mean?
Absolutely.
If you start to plug in some of that stuff, it needs to, you need to have a little bit of everything, man. You're talking about with the Ladies Island mixed with the Absinthe, it's who knows what could come from that,
Well, it's kind of IJs, right? I mean, people are still plugging in imported pop ones into their granites and stuff that, right?
And,
it does something. There is something to be said for having that pumped in there.
Yeah, because there's a lot more orange granites. There's a lot more, purpley granites. There's all types of selective stuff that can go into it.
As a hobby, the ball python culture, and not to talk down about ball python people, but they've been chasing this dragon of the world first, right? That was kind of popularized in the late 80s, early 90s with corn snakes. It kind of faded into you hit 2000, maybe 1999, 2001 with the Burmese pythons. and the ball pythons. It's world first, right? I gotta have the world first. Joe Phelan, podcast extraordinaire, retiree, he had a world first. And I think he straight up was like, hey, man, yeah, I got a world first. Not that I was going after it, but it happened. Mm-hmm. So maybe once we stop worrying about being the first person to combine a certain set of morphs and start saying, hey, this is a wild-caught Ladies Island corn that's been bred to a ghost tessera. I know that 50% are going to be tesseras, but if I raise these up for 6 months, maybe 8 months, pick out the best two and bring them back together, I'm going to get anneries, tesseras, ghosts. There's no residual A-male in there. I know that. There may be other residual heads in there that we don't even know about. Every single one of those is a world first, right? Like nothing else is going to look like that on the planet. Whether those deviations are small or large, nothing else looks like that.
Right.
So there's this, as a hobby, as breeders, we need to have more appreciation for things like that.
Absolutely.
Right. And I think that goes by the wayside with this kind of chasing the dragon. It's the first 7 gene combo or 5 gene combo or something. And it's.
And that makes me laugh because then it's like, okay, cool. What happens when you pair it to, this? And they're like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
Nobody does.
You know what's funny is we're slowly walking backwards in time. We're slowly rewinding the clock. We're starting to do the things that the guys in the late 90s, early 2000s were doing with these variable kings or California king snakes, taking different localities and bringing them together to see what's happening. Finding out that, these dark, Umensis were actually hypermel. That was actually a gene. It was a recessive gene at that. And all of this stuff gets figured out, and then it gets lost. It got forgotten as social media became a thing, as the forums kind of went away. I spent a lot of time about a month ago. Me and Lassiter were talking about the forums, the king snake forums. Those still exist, and you can still get on kingsnake.com. And I think go back to 2003.
All the way back. Yeah,
there is so much there.
Because we did it when we had Sarah on to look up the Goldens. We had the Golden Post was from 04, I think, maybe 07, but it was there. It's still available. It's like going back in a time machine.
This knowledge is free. Yeah, the forums are a little clunky, and you don't get to click on it and see some girl shaking her ass for a tiki-taki. You don't get to. Or, you don't get to swipe up and see some great joke by Bert Kreischer or something, but it's there. And if you're willing to go look for it, we'll chase down a book for years, right? We'll the Rhacodactylus book, I actually only have it on PDF. I'd love to have it in paper. It's a very expensive book, sells for hundreds of dollars. It's kind of the original book from the late 90s. I'm going to say late 90s. I'm probably wrong. But oh my gosh, go back on these forums and say, holy shit, this knowledge was free. It's still free. And in a lot of cases, it still exists. And in-betweeners, man, I'm going to talk about that on every podcast I'm ever on. We're the in-betweeners. We're going to put this knowledge into the digital kind of, social media age where it's available to everybody. It's searchable on YouTube. YouTube's not going anywhere. I'm going to guess plus or minus 5 years. I'm thinking 2030, 2035, somewhere in there's the apocalypse. Gotta guess, right? It's gotta happen, right? Biden and Trump are going up against each other for their 12th terms, right? They're robots. They're both 110, and the world is just over. And we're sitting there with our corn snakes, 12 years into this project, 3 or 4 generations in, and we're like, I did it. I finally made a brown tessera. Look at me, and it's just
the day the eggs start pipping, you don't even know what's inside yet, and that's when it happens. You'll never know what was in the inside.
No.
But it's where does this hobby go in 10, 15 years? Each generation lasts 12 to 15 years, 12 years maybe. We're kind of in this new generation over the last 2 or 3 years where everything's become very focused on social media, YouTube, of course, podcasts. Good God, podcasts.
Good God.
And where is that in 15 years? Do I get to plug my Apple iCord into my food port and that's how I download direct information from Elon Musk about corn snakes. I don't know. I've got to assume, but I don't know. It's it's a neat. What a time to be alive and be doing this. It's fun, man. It's cool.
Yeah.
It's
I just
also
hope the world
terrifying.
doesn't explode before I get to do some of the shit I'm really excited about.
Any minute, Jake. Could
Yeah, I
be right
know.
now.
You just got to keep swimming, man.
I keep looking outside.
Yeah,
I live
gotta swim
pretty
harder.
close to the base. I live pretty close to the base. What was that
The
noise?
alarms
We
aren't
all
going
live
off.
close to the base.
Yeah.
Yep. Just got to keep
What
swimming, man.
Where are
Swim
you
harder.
at with your breeding year? You've had some clutches hit the ground. You still got some Pituovas that are locking. Like where?
Yeah. Oh man,
Northerns, boy. And
dude,
those
I
tanks.
got so.
Hands off my
I'm a
tank.
skank.
Hands off my
I
tank.
have enough Kankakee bull snake eggs for everybody. So
I'm at
Skank.
the top of your list of all your Pituophis pairings. Just
all of my snakes happen in 2 phases, and I've talked about that before. I have my home brumation stuff that hits about 60, maybe high 50s, maybe low, maybe mid to high 60s on a warm day, because good God, it was 100 degrees in December this year. Hashtag end of the world. But I have my cold stuff that again, geez, name dropping endlessly. Lassiter, he brumates for me all my cold stuff, so he has his whole room gets down to 50 degrees for 4 months, right? So that phase of things goes that way, and then this year. So last year, I had some hiccups with my Kankakees, and I haven't really gotten too much of that. Jake, we've talked about it, but
Yeah.
I didn't try to breed the Kankakees. So this year, because they're smaller, they went to the cold box. But my snakes that I don't brumate, which are the Janai, which God are the best snakes. They're the best.
Dude,
I
love
Johnny
them.
Deppie.
Johnny
I
Deppie.
dude, I love them so much.
They're so good.
The one male I have, like, I will take as many of those as I can get.
Hashtag fuck you, Amber
I
Heard.
at least need a female.
They're
I at
such-
least need a female.
Yeah, they're
For the love
such
of God.
good snakes.
They're
And
amazing.
they're so easy to breed. I put them together in December, and I just leave them together. One thing of all my clutches, that have happened so far, I had 3 or 4 slugs with my Janai, and I'm thinking it's because I'm not brumating them. Again, it's another species. They're not hard, right? Like they eat pinkies. They probably eat pinkies when they pip.
As they're coming out,
right? Like they'll come out and just eat a pinky.
Yeah,
You have a pair, right?
No, I have a single male.
He just has a single male.
Okay.
That's why
yeah,
I need a female from him.
I got you.
Last year I had
Is it
7
starting to color up?
males and 2 females. Oh, dude, the males are, because my whole back male's starting to look awesome.
Jake does never post pictures of anything, so I forget that he has some of these
Dude,
things.
you got to come to the new place, man, and
I
see
do.
everything.
I do.
It's
Maybe
pretty
this
legit.
weekend I'll come over. And
Jake's
we can burn a
swimming hard
seagull.
right now.
Come on, man.
Jake's
Dude, I'm
swimming
swimming
hard.
hard. Dude, it's about, I'm about to start cranking it out, though, boy. I got a garage. So I got a garage in the new place where I can cool all my colubrids down this winter. Boy,
Nice.
it's about
Yeah,
to
You a
awesome.
be,
sheet from Walmart.
it's about to be game on, son. I'm
That's
so
awesome.
excited for this breeding season. Oh, I'm
Yeah.
gonna have so much going. So
Those
excited.
those Janai, I pair in December. I just leave them together. I don't
Yeah.
wait for sheds. I separate them to feed. The male gets fed a little less than the female. They will hold weight a little more than most colubrids, I've noticed. And I keep them a little cooler, 78, 79. They'll hit 80. My whole room will hit 80, right? So they'll hit 82 or something like that. But they're always in the cooler section of the rack. And so I keep them together. Their eggs were laid on my birthday, and I got 8 good this year, and I've already lost 1. Now, I don't know if that egg was bad the whole time. I leave it in there when I'm incubating. So I've got 7 good eggs. Last year, I only had 9 good eggs, and I got 8 this year, and I lost 1. But lots of slugs this year, and I'm thinking maybe I will try brumating them next year, doing that kind of short, mid-temperature brumation, because I think it's the male's fertility. I know they'll double clutch. I don't want to double clutch them because they have huge eggs. And the female looks like a tube of toothpaste afterwards, no matter how big she is. Now, Pituophis are great, super fast metabolisms. They put that weight right back on. And they're murder eaters, right? Murder death snakes. Like they'll just eat everything.
Oh God, dude, they're ridiculous.
The only snakes I ever have with Pituophis that don't eat are either my vertebralis, and we'll get into them later, or males that are wanting to breed, or females that are post pre-lay shed. So after pre-lay shed, they won't eat. Like they're just not going to do it. And that's, you probably shouldn't be feeding them anyways, unless it's a small meal you're just trying to put a, supplement. I don't know. I don't really feed anything after pre-lay shed. But so those are actually, I think today's the 5th. It was March 20th. I want to say almost day 50. I think today's day 50. Maybe day 45. I know I do math for a living, but I'm also bad at math. So they're in there somewhere.
Calculators, buddy. It's all good.
So they're close. I'm excited. They hatch between day 65 and day 70. So we're getting close. That's exciting. And then we'll stick with Pichiophis. So my Kankakee, they went into the cold room. So I brewmated them cold. And I brought them out. Female was gangbusters for eating, which was the best thing I wanted to see. She had some issues last year. Last year, I brewmated them in my medium temperature and had issues when she came out of brewmation. That's a whole other story. But now, dude, that male, I think he's eaten like one meal. He, still wraps up with his water bowl like he's having the best time ever. He was just ready to go. Female immediately went into ovulation. You could just tell she was massive. I paired them up, and they were the first snakes from the cold room that bred. And so the other, I think about a week ago, I got 14 good eggs out of them. And absolute
like
shocker.
Clutch, is it not?
I've heard of bull snake clutches at like 20 to 30.
Ooh.
But my Texas bulls last year, my Clayburgh bulls, which Jake has a pair of.
I love those things, dude. I love those freaking snakes. Oh my god! I love them.
They have a ton of personality, and then you have the one that has that really weird patterning on it. So they're starting to probably color up, and there's.
Dude, one of them's just turning this like brick red on her. I chose one for color and I chose one for pattern.
Yeah.
Oh god, dude, they were.
That was a perfect clutch too. It was 3 and 3, but they had 6 eggs, but they were massive. I mean, you're talking about a snake that's over 6 foot, just giant eggs. They were 3 1/4 inches long, and bigger than a chicken egg. Well, this Kankakee lays, and I'm expecting the same thing. 5 to 7, maybe 8 eggs. Dude, they're like maybe twice the size of a corn snake egg. They're less than 2 inches long. And I started digging. There's not a lot of things written down about these. Your morph bull snakes, your Kankakee bull snakes, your northern bull snakes lay small, large clutches.
Which makes sense because you're looking at something that's a little more cold weather, so
very cold weather.
Yeah, so you're looking at probably you need to up the numbers rather than the size for chances of survival, and then it's
right.
It's less biomass that they have to handle.
And those Clayburgh bulls, and they're. So those, I don't know if you call them F1s or Wildcats, my adults. They're actually, my buddy Brian Lovins, great friend of mine, I've talked about him before, is going to be breeding those this year. They bred really late. And
what's really late?
I got those eggs they hatched in November.
Oh,
late. Like,
so it'd be like what, late July, early August?
They laid in late August, early September, something like that. Yeah. And they hatched quick. They hatched real fast, and they hatched out massive. Jake,
dude, I'm telling you, those the Clayburghs that you sent me when I got them at a couple weeks old, they were bigger than the San Diegos I got from you 3 months prior.
Yeah,
they legit, and they still are. They're several months older, but they're bigger. Like they were bigger out of the egg than my San Diegos at several months old.
The size of like my Southern.
Dude, out of the egg, they were eating small hoppers, yeah.
Yeah, dude, they were
straight up.
They're massive, man.
They're
still bigger than my San Diego.
Freaking beast.
Yeah, dude, the male albino Florida, he's a freaking donk. He is getting huge, man. He's oh my god. Every time I take him out, I'm like, this snake is amazing. I love them.
I really
so
do
much.
like mine.
Southern pines are great.
I enjoy her.
And that's another snake that lays very small clutches, big eggs. Yeah. And it's got to be, I'm guessing the northern snakes are breeding earlier in the spring. Your babies are coming out in the summer. They have a better chance of survival. Whereas
the
the
earlier
southern
the better
snakes-
for them. Yeah, because that
Southern snakes breed later.
Summers. Yeah.
not going to be during the drought during the summer, right? I mean,
Right.
Jake,
Makes
I even
sense.
said that. I was like, I don't know if it's just like water concentration in these eggs. They've got to survive. You know, we go through droughts constantly.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it has something to do with that. And you know, someday I'd
Surface
love
area
it.
or something.
Yeah. I mean, just so super excited about the Kankakees. 14 perfect eggs. You know, they're in the incubator. Crash, my male, is gorgeous. He's got such perfect black on him with his yellow. The female, she's got a lot more of that burnt umber, kind of that mahogany color on her. She's not the prettiest Kankakee, but that's okay. They're unrelated as far as I know.
But see, that's as far as Kankakees go, and that's solely because Kankakees are known for that really dark black.
Yeah.
I love the mahogany look
Yeah,
in
it's cool.
Kankakees. Like it is, I think it is really, really neat, like to see those and that's also because I like the things that are kind of different, you know. So Kankakees are known to be black, but then you have the stuff that's like a little different, you know, and it's just it's neat, and it could go into like your selective breeding within the wild types, you know. And I don't know, I think it's really neat.
I would like to get
super excited for you.
Like
to have
I still want Northerns, and Kankakees would be cool, but right now like space is just
they're big.
Space is tough, and I don't have the space to devote to those.
You know,
and like my Southern,
they
like I said,
they
I'm
are
just
big snakes.
I'm just enjoying her.
snakes,
Like
man.
she's a funny snake. You know, when I'm in the room, she's like
they have such personalities,
like,
man.
Trying to.
They're
She
little
sees me
inquisitive.
moving around. She wants to come out and check things out.
They want to see what's going on. They want to. Okay. Keep it on with the Pidgeophis. Let's see. San Diego Gophers, same pairing I did last year. So striped double albino to female triple het. That was both produced by Glen Brooks. Gave me a clutch last year. I got 5, and I lost one after it hatched. So I hatched one T positive albino. T positive albino is the one where it still has color, right? Am I dumb? I'm dumb. I may be stupid.
I'm dumb. I don't know.
Yeah. So the Tyranny
T positive, yes, is like hypo-ish.
So the T pos, which would be clumpers, because it's clumpers and Bechdel albino, which is funny because all of these strains actually work together, but there's different lineages of them. I hatched one T pos. He died. I've still got him in the freezer. Gorgeous snake. Then all the others, I got 2 stripes, I think. Maybe I had 6 or 7 eggs, but they had a small clutch.
Are those what Dan got?
Dan has a pair and Jake has a pair.
Yeah,
Okay.
I have a visual. I have a double albino striped male,
that's
and
right.
then I have a triple het female.
Yes, you got the only normal that hatched out of that clutch,
Yeah.
and I didn't get any
Het for
normal.
what?
Double albino and striped.
Yeah. So
The 2
these
strains
snakes
of
have-
albino.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
There's-
so you
there's
have-
2 strains of albino in there.
Yeah.
There's 5 strains of albino in San Diego Gophers. Shockingly difficult to remember, and I'm not going to tell you right now. But the ones I have are Bechdel and Clumpers with stripe.
Are Applegates in that?
Yes.
Applegates are T negative albino. and
Okay, that makes sense.
compatible
So
with-
That's a different
Right,
strain
right.
though of albino.
Technically, it's a different line because, as
Right,
far as
okay,
I know, they're compatible with Bechdel albino.
Okay.
But nobody's producing straight Bechdel albinos and clumper albinos. They're actually using those morphs or those lines to mix in. That's how you get your envy snows, your zombie snows. And I'm not the one to lay all of these lineages out because those, Jason
The
Nelson,
zombies do look
Glenn
cool.
Brooks- Dude, Glenn Brooks zombie snows are like,
Dude,
I want
And
to
now he has
get him on the
stripes
show
on
for a
his-
hot minute.
wicked.
What?
I
Dude's
need
a
to hit
sweetheart.
him up.
yeah. I got a pair of Leonis from him this year. Gorgeous. I know the lineage. Lopez, I think they're Lopez line, but they're like Jaguar lineage. Gorgeous, yellow and orange, just beautiful.
Since we're a Colubrid show now, I figured he'd be a perfect.
He is a sweetheart. Great guy.
Yeah, he's been on the list for a
great.
long time.
Yeah.
I just, for whatever reason, it
Who?
just hasn't happened.
Which one?
Glenn Brooks.
Glenn
Jim Brooks.
Brooks,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I know we're talking about.
He's got some
So-
Barons for sale right now that are pretty hot.
What?
Some blue.
Dude,
blue
he has
Oh, I don't have cash for that. Fuck.
he has Noah's Ark syndrome.
Oh,
And
Yeah,
I
he's
love
got
it.
everything. It's
He's
awesome.
got everything. Leucistic Colombian boas. I think he has some of the mountain boas. I think he breeds Sanzinia. He has those
Rhino
black-headed. Yeah, rhino. He's got rhino rats. He has the black-headed, rear-fanged little colubrids. And I don't remember what they are, but dude, his collection is wild.
I think he has Dion's too. He's one of the other guys
he has
that
the
has
red
some
Dion's.
Dion's.
Yeah, he has red
Yep.
Dion's. But yeah. So the San Diego's, she's in prelay right now. Just hoping for a healthy clutch out of her. If it's 6.8, that'd be great. If it's 2, that's also fine. She's that pair is one of my favorite. They're just so chill. When people come over and they want to see a big bull snake or a gopher snake, mine aren't huge, but I always get them out. I'm like, dude, you got to see, Sunshine, my kid named my male, the striped double albino. It's like, look at the snake. Look, what? Like, this is real. This is a thing, and he's so chill.
Yeah, dude. I took a Snapchat of it and put on my story, and because now he's really starting to glow now, especially put an LED over him. Just those stripes down his back, they're just pop this purple.
Put him under a black light,
dude. It would be freaking wicked. I'm telling you, it
cool.
would be awesome. But I took a video of him on my Snapchat, man. I had everybody like, dude, what is that? That thing's crazy, because a lot of my Snapchat people aren't snake people at all. It's mostly just friends. I don't even use it that much. But man, it's so cool. I cannot wait till he looks like his dad. Yeah. Holy shit, I'm so excited.
San Diego Gophers. Oh, man, they're great. I had some really neat morph bull snakes. I've talked about them on the show before. I actually sold them this year. Just, man, the bull snakes are great, and they're really fun. But God, they're usually a handful. They're a mess. They're massive, and not that that's a bad thing, but if you have a lot of them, it can get overbearing.
Yeah,
I guess I don't know if that's the right way to say that. Not overbearing, but it seems you start feeling like, man,
it's
a
overwhelming.
It's a lot.
And the San Diego Gophers stay a lot smaller.
Yeah.
So that's nice. My Black Pines, my female may be gravid. I had a lot of locks early with them. Females refusing the male. She's got the look, knock on wood. I'm hoping. It looks like, I don't know. It's, that's one of those species that it's like, I'm not going to say that she's gravid because then I'm just missing a massive ovulation. Northern Pines. One big thing with my Northern Pines is I had my male and my female mixed up. So my female's been eating a lot more, or my male's been eating a lot more than the female. But they have been breeding aggressively. The male is, he's biting the female, he's pinning her up, and they're tying up. So fingers crossed for those to go. Again, another one of my just favorites. They're docile. They're extremely great, just great feeders. They're not as messy. The pine snakes are just not as messy as the bulls and the gophers.
Yeah, mine isn't.
You get a decent sized poop out of them, but it's usually not that bad.
Yeah, those Floridas that you sent me, dude, they stink up my room, dude.
They do stink. Pitch you off a stink. Their poo-poos are aggressive.
Yeah, no,
and you feed them on Sunday, you're cleaning on Tuesday.
Woo, buddy. Yeah, that's exactly how I work. I try to feed on Saturdays and I clean on Monday/Tuesday.
It is wild. Like they almost have like a racer
nuts.
metabolism with food.
Isn't it
like
gone?
Same with the Barons is that way too. Like I feed him and it's like the lump is it disappears. Like within 48 hours, it's gone.
And it's cool because they're just like always on the move. And like I've said it before, I keep most of my stuff pretty cool. I think the hottest colubrid temperatures I see is 82, 83.
Wow, Kris, with your pits, do you keep a hot spot or do you run ambience?
I do keep a hot spot, and I really like keeping a hot spot because I'll find a lot of times they're on the cool side, which is going to be 70, 75, 76. I know people that have had really good luck with ambient. I go to the Church of John Lassiter, which is if you're doing ambient heat, there's nothing wrong with that. Give them a very deep substrate so they have options. And if you're going to keep them ambient, it's usually a good idea to keep a humide in there. And the reason for that is because at ambient temperatures, you'll usually see lower humidity. So with my stuff is all set up on a 2-degree hotspot swing. So let's say it hits that, and everything's set at 82. And some racks 82 is what you have it set at, but it's really only getting 78, 80. Or my blue tongue skinks, the thermostat set at 100. And it really, when I temp check it, it's 90, 92, somewhere in there.
But if you get a BlackBox rack, them temperatures are going to be right where they need to be.
I can assure you it doesn't matter what rack it is. It's substrate
that heat tape.
heat tape. It's on and off.
Yeah.
There's variations in it. So if you are keeping, you should be giving these things options anyways. I don't.
What's your ideal like hot spot and then like cool side? What do you shoot for in a cool side versus a hot spot with Pitchofis?
So for everything other than the Mexican pines, I want to see 82 degrees on my hot side, and my cool side 76, 77, if I can. If this was a perfect world, right?
Right.
I'd have 70 degrees on one side, 90 on the other, and you have a 6 foot, 8 foot, 4 foot by 4 foot, and then we start getting into the whole space. Is it worth it? Is it not worth it? And then they sit in the same spot the whole time, anyways.
Right.
I do hide boxes turned sideways in a V70, which I will be the first to admit. These things are going in V90s or display cages once my room is finished, because a V70 is not big enough for a 6 foot northern pine.
Yeah, no.
In my opinion, just in my opinion, I'm literally keeping them that way and saying that I need more space. These animals need more space. You start breeding them in a V70, and it's a shit show, man. There's a lot of
it's a mess.
It's a mess, and they destroy things, and I'd love to see them in bigger. I'm not saying they need to go to display closure with UV. That's I don't think that's speculation. I think there's science to that, but I don't necessarily know if they need it. My stuff gets ambient sunlight through my window. I don't know, and that's I'm not a scientist. I'll never admit to being one. And Dr. Loftman said it best. You don't get to beat science without better science, and I don't have better science.
Right. Yeah. But it's also like with especially with northerns, from what I have heard with other people keeping them, is a lot of them really don't do well in display cages. I had I think it was Nipper Reed. I was talking to him.
Yeah.
And he's got some northerns, and he put them in big like 4x2x2 enclosures. This whole thing, and they freaked out. Like they would not stop cruising. They're rubbing all over the place. They went nuts. Put them back in a rack, calmed right down, no problems. You know what I mean? So it's definitely not for all species. Maybe it's a matter of filling up the cage, making it feel safe, whatever. But and I also think it's a lot of individuals. A lot of people like to take a species as a whole and say this isn't good for all. I think you need to take the individual into play more often in how you raise it and things like that. Because if it's used something a little bigger, maybe it'll acclimate something a little bigger as an adult. Whatever. Some snakes do better in cages. Some snakes don't. There's plenty of carpets that I can upgrade from a 6 quart to a 32 or a 15 quart straight to a V70, and they do fine. But there's some that you upgrade from a 6 to a 15 and they shut down. They're like, nope, too big, don't want this. It's all in the individual. Everybody's different, But I do think a lot of pines would do well in something like a 3x2. You know what I mean? Like not so big to where it's 4 or 5 foot long. Exactly. Or do something like that. Yeah, right? Exactly.
The V90s, I think it's V90, the 90. The large ones,
or the FB90, I think is what it is, because I think Freedom Breeder makes that tub.
You want to know a special way to stress out Pitchofis? Put it in too big of an enclosure too soon. Not saying it's not going to eat, but you're going to see a lot more of your defensive posture. You're going to get a lot more hisses. Every time I take a Pitchofis and I upgrade it to a larger tub, they freak out. They just lose it because that's not their little hovel.
Right.
And so, there's definitely, I love giving them options. I love giving them a hot side. I love giving them a cold side. I like, deep substrate. I like hides on both sides. If I can't fit hides on both sides, I'll have a long hide. Some of the longer boa size. Hides within hides. I know this sounds ridiculous, but if you put your human hide inside of a large hide, it will subsect the size of that larger hide. And now they have more options.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Options are key, and yes, we can keep these things on paper with a water dish. They're going to probably thrive. They're going to live great. They're going to live for 30 years, and they're going to eat every time, and that is okay. And if you're doing that, don't beat yourself up about it. But if you want to kind of go that extra distance and maybe meet the world in the middle, let's give them some options, right? I keep hides in almost all my tubs. I try to do 2 hides. I love doing a cool side hide and a hot side hide, deep substrate. And if you are going to keep ambient, which works very well, it's been proven and proven and proven, do an extra deep substrate because it allows them to thermoregulate just through the, I believe it's the surface area of the substrate. And again, I am dumb, so don't take that for granted. Anyway, finish up on Pitchophis. So breeders this year, the last one would be Vertebralis. I researched for the years that I had my Vertebralis, and I found nothing on them. Huge shout out to everybody that's ever bred them for not fucking putting anything on the internet. I love you guys.
Good thing we have a website for you to add to.
All right.
Called the herpeticulturenetwork.com.
I put mine cold. Not any particular reason other than I wanted to give them the strongest possible brumation. They came out. They both looked great. They both came out of brumation looking great. And you're talking about a Pitchophis that's 3 foot long, right? Like it's smaller than a lot of corn snakes. They're very small, and I know they breed at that size.
The min pin.
Yeah, they're little, dude. They're gorgeous. What a species. I want to know more about them. I want to learn more about them. I want to find out and put down and tell people more about them. I pair mine up weekly. They hang out in the little hides together. They don't seem stressed. They're both eating great now. But I haven't even seen a post brumation shed, which is weird. Like everything else is already shed. We took everything out around, I want to say, the second week after Valentine's Day. Still haven't shed. So I don't know.
Damn.
I don't know if that means anything. Definitely no ovulation out of the female. Definitely no, not seeing any signs of being gravid. But they are hanging out together, which is kind of good to see. And I'm going to try to do that throughout the year, possibly giving them breaks while they're shedding until something happens. If nothing happens, I'm going to change up the game. Maybe I'll pair them up in December and just keep going. And maybe I don't brumate them this year. Treat them a little bit more like the Janai, which controversially I will be brumating this year to try to get better fertility out of my male. See if that is a consideration to take. But yeah, that's it for Pitchophis that I'm pairing this year.
Nice.
I don't know what to do with these thorn scrubs.
Just keep pairing them up, man. You're fine. I think they're going to be like the local bull snakes that just breed late, and there's got to be a reason for it. You know what I mean? I don't know why. Maybe stuff locally. We don't often find baby snakes anyways because there's 14 billion predators year round. But yeah, I mean, they're not a king. They're not a milk. So they're not going to breed super early right after brumation like a lot of stuff. I don't know. Keep trying. I hate that. That sounds like such a jackass thing to say, but I'll be breeding mine next year. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have a pair of McMullen Wildcats. I have a pair of reverse striped Nueces Counties. I have an albino female, a pair of chocolates, and a female chocolate albino. They'll all be at size next year. So I'm going to start pushing all those projects together and trying to make that happen. But yeah, hopefully we'll share notes on it. You know what I mean? Because when do they breed?
I'll be cooling my thorns down next season. That's for sure. I have a trio. I don't know if I'm going to try and get 2 clutches from them or not. Because I have a lot of stuff that's probably I'm going to try and make go next year. So I got
albino pines.
Absolutely.
Forks Gophers. Yeah.
I don't have super forks. I just have the.
No, you have
I have forks. Yes, but they could make
supers.
Yeah, they could make supers. So
those genetics are interesting.
It's very interesting, and that's why that goes back to that whole like getting hets thing. Like that's the forks I got. I got the low expressions specifically so I could make like my own.
Make a super fork. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And those oh my god, man, those animals are just wicked. They're so different, but they're from the same clutch. The male is just out of this world yellow, and they're super cool. They're nuts, man. The female is a tank. The female is a tank, dude. She's freaking huge.
You don't get good pictures of Forks Gophers.
No, you don't, because they try to attack you
at all.
And dude, see, and it's so weird with them because like I can hold them, I can kind of have them in my hands, and they're kind of just on edge the whole time, but they normally just kind of do their thing. But as soon as I put them down and they're looking at me, it's game on. Like as soon as my hands are off, it's like you're dead.
He's not holding
You're
me
dead,
anymore.
dude. It's so weird. I've never had like snakes really be like that. Normally, like they calm down, they just kind of run.
Yeah.
And then once I put them down, they just continue to try and run. It's like, no, these things are fine in my hands, but they bow up as soon as they're in a holding tub or I put them down and they're looking at me like they're nuts, dude. They also just strike like straight up into the air for nothing. Like I don't know if they feel very, like it's nuts.
That line of Sonorans and Sonorans in general are exceptionally defensive. I don't know if it's because West Texas is just they go into Arizona too, but you see mostly West Texas localities.
Texas are just assholes. All of them.
Yeah, Texas.
Dude, those Claiborne bulls are like babies.
Okay, those are
and they're huge.
Yeah,
which
yeah,
is
those are the exception. Everything else I have from Texas is freaking nuts. My Emerys, dude, my Brewster County Emerys, those things are nuts.
They'll grow out of that.
They're freaking nuts, man. They're awesome though. I love them. Thorn scrub. My thorns are okay. Like
thorn scrubs can kind of be a little. I don't know.
Mine are actually all okay. My male is a puppy. My male is fine. Yeah. I can reach him and grab him right out tub. Females just don't really like being touched. They're not defensive. Like they don't bite. They just they're flighty. They don't like being messed with. They just kind of want to be left alone.
Yeah, mine don't like me at all.
Yeah. No, your female.
You have the Nueces County pair because you have the male that's like aberrant. He's kind of got funky jigsaw. See, I have a male from McMullen County that's kind of similar that I'll be pairing up next year that we found. It's weird. You'll find all of it retreats back to those reverse stripe animals. It's weird because somebody found a perfect one, and yet there has been another perfect one. So I have my pair are two of the best that have ever been produced. So I'm hoping that I get one that's like just banger, perfect. I mean, the ones I have, I feel like are bangers. And the weird thing is they hatch out a different color too. They have pinks and reds to them, which is so odd because this is a morph that we find here. I say morph. This is a genetic anomaly that we find here locally. It's like, wait, do those come out weird? So we have the island, Padre Island, which I flipped a pair of
those
thorn
nice.
Scrubs the other day, and like I left them. I thought I left the female and took the male. I left the male and took the female. Dude, if you flip a snake and it's beautiful and it just ate a meal like 8 times its body size, leave it alone. Just leave it there. But this is the perfect example to keep. Try to find another one. I don't know. Let that snake live its life, right? Like it's gonna live off of that food for weeks probably. The little female I got, she's small. She's probably because it was kind of earlier this year. I said a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago, a year and a half, right? So she's at that size where it's like I'm comfortable taking her. She ate literally 2 days later. She's already on frozen thawed. #
Wild caughts are better.
Wild caughts are better. But dude, she's gorgeous and she looks like a Sawinski eye. But if I cross that causeway and come back over here, they have that typical thorn scrub green emery eye. It's so I'm going to start investigating this because we find them all the time, but I don't hurt much on the island. So we set up a bunch of flip sites, and we've been checking every couple weeks. It's really better to get out there in the morning. That can be difficult sometimes. But dude, so I'm hoping to find a mate for her and kind of just investigate what's going on there because she's totally different color from snakes that I find, 15 miles inland. So because we have these barrier islands all down the coast of Texas, and they're huge masses of land. But Jake, I mean, you remember the island? You got to go over this huge causeway.
Yep.
There is no way for that animal to make it back here unless it's like a ride along or something. And then what are the chances of it interbreeding? So it's neat that they're different. I don't know.
Yeah, I wasn't surprised when you said it came from Padre Island. I wasn't surprised that it looked completely different at all.
Yeah,
that's gonna be a cool project that I definitely want in on.
We lay 10 on Sunday.
Can we lay 10
Yeah.
on something?
Yeah.
Where?
Guys, we got to set up our flip
We
sites.
scoped out some spots around
yeah.
my parents' house,
Yeah,
man.
let's
There's
do
some
it.
prime real estate we're not even taking advantage of.
Let's do it too. Prove it.
Dude, lay 10. Make sure you know, I take a weed whacker with you, edge, or I don't know what y'all call them where you're from, but you know, clean out that area real good. Try to get down to mostly bare ground with a little bit of grass. Get that 10 down flat. Let it sit for a couple months. Ooh, baby.
There's some tin that's been sitting on my parents' property for a while now, and
It's all jumbled up though. Like it's all.
I
kind
found
of
a
in one
small
spot.
racer a couple weeks ago.
We
but
flipped.
other
We
than
flipped
that,
a crown snake
yeah,
on Sunday
Yeah,
that you dropped. You freaking
Drop it.
numbskull.
It disappeared.
Because you dropped it. Because you dropped it and disappeared into the
Little
pine straw.
Tantilla coronata.
Dude, Tantilla are a gangster. The cuculata we found last year.
Yeah.
What a iridescent animal. And you can't take a
ours
picture
are
of
fairly
it.
boring and standard in comparison to the stuff out there.
I love boring standard though. Decays, brown snakes, coach whips, you know, stuff like that. It's just,
Dude, coach whips are not boring.
Yeah.
Okay?
Well, no, they're not boring.
They
because
are
you're gonna
like
sweat
It's
when
not
you
going to be
find one.
a species on my list of boring.
Those are on the top of my
Condors are
like
boring.
herping,
are not
my herping like checklist.
Do y'all have
I've
pretty
never
coach whips
found a
over there?
We have beautiful coach whips here.
Oh, so our coach whips are
Oh,
very.
Yours are just tan, but they're cool.
They're just tan. They're really cool.
They're cool. They're great.
West
Ours are
Texas
we get like
coach
the
whips.
black.
Tan.
We get like the black and tan ones.
But they have like golden eyes, like the ring
Yeah.
of their iris.
Never
like,
found
yeah,
one. I have never found
I haven't
one,
either.
and I want to so freaking bad. It hurts me deep.
When I worked at the nature center, we had one, but I never saw it. It was an agoraphobe. Like it stayed in its hide. You'd see its head in the morning when you first got there. It would be poking its head out, but as soon as you walked in the room, it disappeared.
Our I've never found one, but West Texas coach whips are like red and pink.
Mm-hmm.
They're
yeah,
insane
dude.
looking. I want to hopefully find one. There, another, you know, shout out to Connor Wardle.
Yeah,
Wardle. For the work he's doing with those animals. It's so great to see somebody in the hobby, young, passionate. Everybody said you can't do this. He proves them wrong. You know,
he's doing it, man.
He's taking the extra step.
He's working on a lot of really
really
stuff.
I want some Hypsiglena. Do you get those where you're at? You get night snakes?
No, but so we'll start seeing those as like 277, which I've actually never heard 277, but I know that they've been found. It's alterna bycatch, but dude, I've seen a ton of Hypsiglena.
Yeah.
And they're neat. The more east you go, the more silver they get.
Oh,
cool
really?
Snakes. Yeah. The more east you are, the more brown they are. The more west you go, the more silver they get. From my very limited experience. But dude, they're what a cool looking snake, right? It's another one of those, just like rough green snakes. Like,
yeah.
Dude, you know, figure those out, right? Put those in a bioactive terrarium and feed them, you know, crickets and stuff.
I want to
do people out there doing
greens, man. I want to work with rough greens bad.
That's one of the species that I've heard that UV might be something that you have to do
I believe it.
Where you don't like UV will benefit them almost to the point to where you have to have it, otherwise they just don't do well.
Yeah.
I bred Phelsuma for years. I guarantee you, if you don't have UV on Phelsuma, they will not live. Straight up. You don't have to have nearly as much heat as all the old books tell you on Phelsuma. But when I had my babies, if I put them in like a critter keeper with heat on one side but no UV, they would be dead. You know, this is also 1998, 1999. I calm down when I say critter keeper, but they're dead. But if you put UV on them, right, direct access to UV for, you know, some 6-8 hours a day, dude, they thrive, right? And it's, I don't know, Phelsuma was a whole nother. I've said it. I think I've said it on this podcast before. I can't wait to retire so I can have Phelsuma again. They're a little bit maintenance heavy. They're a handful. You're cleaning a lot. You're feeding a lot. But God, Phelsuma are great. And the species I bred, I loved them to death. You could sit in your room reading a book, just staring at these things. They're always on the move. They interact with each other, right? Mm-hmm. They create these little communities and stuff. What? I don't know. Phelsuma are great. Everything's great. They're all great. I don't know. There's no bad species.
I like the gold dust and the standings most. Standings are awesome.
Gold dust are great. I bred gold dust, peacocks, lined, and grandmas. The lines were
too.
really neat. Peacocks are cool. Peacocks never did well for me. I never felt like my peacocks ever did as well as any of the others, and that may be a future investigation. God, if I could even get them. I don't even know if you can get them now.
I don't recall. I don't think I haven't seen any, but I also haven't really been looking. So
peacocks didn't thrive for me, but that could have definitely been keeper error. You're talking about the same timeline when I was keeping leopard geckos on calcium sand with a hot rock, right? So, it's interesting. We had these arboreal lizards, and we knew you put them in a 55-gallon. You fill up the tank with soil and pothos, heat lamp, and UV. And then you get your leopard geckos and you follow the care sheet from PetSmart and you're just like, here's your sand, here's your hot rock, make babies. And it's, I don't know. I definitely look back at those times, not in shame, not mad at myself, and not mad at other keepers that have kept them that way, or goodness, even keep them now. You're limited in all of this in what you do by the knowledge available to you. And maybe not even the knowledge available to you, the saturation that you've taken in from that knowledge, right? Like, this guy told me to keep them this way, so I do it that way. And you can't be young and have that. It takes years and years and years of saturation to maybe get there. I don't know. Maybe you can be young and have it right perfect the first time. I don't know.
Did you ever have Clemery?
I did not. No, none of the Ligodactyloides or something like Ligodactylus. None of the Williams eye or the Clemery, and it's beautiful animals. So, hey, I'm gonna be 55 soon. I'm gonna retire. I'm gonna move to West Texas. I'm gonna have a whole room of Phelsuma. I promise you.
Does your wife know
I'm
that?
gonna be the dumb uneducated kid here. Give me a common name for these Phelsuma. What are they? What are they?
They're the day geckos. So
day geckos. Okay.
So you have gold dust day geckos, peacock day geckos, lion day geckos, and giant day geckos.
I was wondering when he said gold dust. I was like, I know that. It sounds like gecko. Did not
and then
know
the
what
ones
they were talking about at all.
The ones that Justin's talking about have the coolest names ever: the neon day gecko and the electric blue day gecko from the Ligodactylus family. Ligodactylus, Ligodactyloides. I don't. Again, not a scientist. Ligodactylus. Yeah. Oof. God, those electric blues. Ooh, baby girl, you give me something blue like that, I'm just gonna tell you about my birthday. And they're not like, oh, what a beautiful blue snake. They're like, oh my God, that's blue. Like, across the room.
It doesn't. I don't think it gets much more blue than that.
You cannot. It is.
Except for blue
God
chondros.
parted the heavens. There were no clouds in the sky, and that is what blue. No, blue chondros ain't even that blue.
Blue chondros can suck.
I beg to differ.
Mine.
How are those? How are those cave geckos, buddy?
They're great, man. They're so awesome. I need to feed them.
Cave geckos are great, dude.
Yeah,
cave geckos are so.
They're amazing. They're
great. They're one of those species that you set it, forget it, and they just excel, right?
Yeah, dude. That's exactly what I've done. I give them bugs when they run out. Whenever I fill them up with mealworms, I give them a couple crickets.
Pretend you're in a cave and they do great.
Yeah, that's exactly what I do.
Can't see anything.
I was showing them to my mom, and she was like, "You just keep them in these little boxes. Yeah. It's just wet in there all the time." I'm like, yeah, pretty much. Look at them; they're doing great. They're fantastic. Like, she's like, "Why do you keep them like this?" I was like, "Ma, they're cave geckos. Caves are dark and damp, and wet, like all the time. Like they like it dark and wet. Like they only come out when lights go out.
Yeah,
and they dive away as soon as I turn on the lights and come in. Like they hate my existence, but they do great in these little tubs that are moist.
They're the exact same as Coleonyx. Humidity and heat differences, but dude, they're just, you set it, you forget it, and they thrive. They just do so well.
Room temperature, baby.
Room temp on them cave geckos. Let's go,
dude. All day,
I need a bigger space because,
dude, you would like the cave geckos.
Between Coleonyx, between Strophurus, the viper geckos that Chuck Poland keeps posting about and producing.
Yeah,
there's just,
I don't know, man. I'm good with these guys.
They are very cool.
I'm good with these guys. I'm at the point. Where I can sex them now. I haven't looked at them all, but I definitely saw cods on one of them.
Good.
So
yeah,
I'm gonna start looking at the genitalia.
Yeah, I mean, dude,
So
I hope we get 2 pairs.
dude, that would be awesome,
they
man.
do well in pairs. And I've had very good success in trios, but I've had the best fecundity in pairs.
Do you
Just my experience.
year round keep them in pairs?
I do.
you?
Every female gets a break in December because every woman deserves a
pull
break.
pull the male out.
I pull females out. I don't know
Okay.
why, but I feel like in some of these species, males are a little bit more territorial. The only species I don't pull females in December is Leachianus because I don't want them to fucking kill each other again. My Leachies are finally back breeding. They take a break on their own, right? And then they're on other sides of the enclosure, and they don't want to have anything to do with each other. And then you'll hear them barking at night. And, they eat. I put 2 food bowls in there, but then come this time of year, they're right next to each other, and the females sitting on the male's back, and they're BFFs, and the females eating better, and it's just they're a great species. I mean, we did a whole podcast.
Work it out.
So
they're great.
So with the cave geckos, like what months do you keep them together versus like separated?
So I only separate
November.
Yeah, January through November, essentially. I usually take them apart for December, sometimes into January. It depends on schedules. We get busy. And that's just to give the female a break. I mean, you're not going to see a ton of eggs out of them. I think I got 4 clutches last year.
Oh, wow.
And it takes a while. 4 to 5 clutches, I think, is good. That's 8 to 10 babies.
Yeah.
You're going to see a break. You're going to naturally see a break in them, and they're probably okay. I don't have mine in huge tubs, so maybe that's a thing. For a long time, I had a trio in the same size as a V70 tub, and they did great. I bred them for years. I bred those for years, sold them to a buddy, and then the ones you have are great grandchildren or something. They're so easy that they just keep going. And then my male now is wild caught. I always like getting a wild caught male whenever I can and spicing it in. And he's dog shit ugly. He looks nothing like the captain bred ones because we keep the prettiest ones, right? So we see our females and the males that we keep are like, oh god, this is just what an example. And then my male literally almost doesn't even have yellow or orange on him anymore. He looks like a giant turd. But he's great. He's healthy. He's a great breeder. And then the babies all come out bangers, right? And then you keep the prettiest ones, those ones that end up breeding, and it's a cycle. Another animal does great in a display enclosure. Does great in a tub, right? Just don't get them hot. That's kind of my biggest caveat to them. Don't get them hot.
Like how hot is hot?
I keep them in the coolest part of my room. I have never experienced problems with them getting hot, but might have never seen above 80. That I mean, God, they probably have. My AC's gone out, and I started worrying about everything in my whole house in 90 degrees. And I'm sure that they've had spikes, but it's just like my
they can handle higher temps for brief periods, but nothing long.
I've shipped them at times and never had problems.
Yeah, I know, because I know my room fluctuates. Where they about sit? I've got them sitting right under my vent now, so whenever it does blow, like it blows kind of on them. But my room will fluctuate anywhere from 77 to about 80.
Yeah,
so,
unacceptable.
But with them, so the plan is with them eventually, because right now I house them all like individually in 6 quarts. But like
I always do that with babies. Yeah.
Okay. The end of the day deal, at least my thought with them, is to set up like a square of 18 by 18 by 18 enclosures for all 4 of them, and then kind of just as I breed, just interchange.
I think an 18 by 18 by 12 or 18 by 18 by 18 is good for a pair. I think that's more than sufficient. I think my tub that I have now is probably 20 inches by 16. And I've had a pair in there for plenty long. Again, no problems. I kept 2 babies back. I kept the ugliest baby and the prettiest baby. So those, and because I want to see, I want to see they go through an ontogenetic change, right? They're very specifically colored as babies. Then they get this cool. They do that thing where like their heads get orange, and then their skin starts turning light and almost transparent looking, and then they start getting dark, and then they get black and nothing. Again, it's another one of these animals in the hobby. Now there's Goniosaurus has a huge amount of species, and once you start getting to the Japanese
are cool.
The Japanese are bangers.
Freaking Darth Maul as a gecko, dude.
The Bawang and the Ariensis are really cool too. Those are gonna be Chinese mainland subspecies. And another, how badass are these things that not enough people are working with. And I'll admit that's probably a species. It's easy for me, works real easy for me because I leave them alone, but might not succeed in little Timmy's hands. You know what I mean?
Right,
That's his first gecko, and he wants to take it out and play with it every day. That might not be the animal. And maybe I haven't investigated that because I don't socially interact with my animals that often, especially them. I literally just don't touch them unless I'm taking a picture or something, or moving them to clean or something. But there's, I don't know. They're so easy. But they may not be a good beginner species. Right. And I think I've said it before. I keep a healthy. God, I didn't even put a healthy amount of springtails in my enclosure. It became a healthy amount of springtails. They poop in the same spot. You've probably noticed that they have a latrine, which is. Coleonyx do the same thing.
I was going to say, do Coleonyx do that too?
Yeah, they poop in the same spot.
Leopard geckos do it. They poop in the same pile. That's why. That's kind of what I expected. And then they did it. I was like, oh yeah, just like leopard geckos, they shit in the same spot every time. And one of them poops on his moss, so I have to keep taking out his moss and adding more moss, and he pisses me off. And he's figuring out any spot to poop.
Why don't you just push it to the side in that same area so that he goes there, but the moss isn't?
I don't know what it is, but if you clean their poop, if you clean their poop, they go back to the same spot to poop.
No, I'm saying keep that moss in the same area, but just make a little clearing in that spot that he keeps going, so that maybe it's
make a little hole.
Put some springtails in there. Just let them dude. With my
you can get springtails at PetSmart now. Our PetSmart,
really?
Yeah.
Hey, huge shout out to my new
They're
sponsor,
expensive.
PetSmart.
You're gonna pay out the nose for them, but they're there.
That's where I get my Purina Pro healthy digestive tract dog food, so my dog doesn't shit himself constantly.
Nice.
Huge shout out. Huge shout out to his sphincter that doesn't work anymore. Vader, hashtag my man. But yeah, so hey, don't be talking smack about Vader. He's 15 surgeries in, and homie's strong. You know what I mean?
Hashtag casket.
15 surgeries.
15 surgery. Cancer survivor 4 times over. Homie is going good.
Dude, how old is he?
11. He's 11 this year. Dude, homie's just covered in scars. It's hilarious.
His back,
his neck, his ear.
Grim Reaper shows up and he just kicks him in the balls.
He's like, "What's up, bitch?" Bop.
He's missing a toe.
Oh God.
He has a scar on his head from when he ran into the fence as a puppy. And dude, this dog is a mess, but he's a sweetheart. He's a sweetheart. I love that dog. But yeah, his butthole doesn't work anymore. And so we have to have a certain diet so that he doesn't just poop. It's so bad. It's not like if you saw this dog, dude, you would never think that he wasn't a puppy. He can jump over the couch the hard way. He's little. He's 18 pounds. And dude, this dog is a maniac. Because one of these days you guys will come here, and hopefully he's still here. You're going to meet him. He's hyper, nonstop, just full of energy. He's a little Boston Terrier. And he's just falling apart. And this dog refuses to quit. He refuses to quit.
Jesus, man.
That's I love that dog.
What's up with Coleonyx? You got any of those happening?
Yeah. So I have.
I want a pair. I think I just want a pair.
I have a pair
for the enjoyment.
My Trottis. My female is probably at the age I could breed her.
I want US
I'm gonna give her a little bit of more time. I have an Ira Ann female and a Black Gap female. I'm trying to collect locality Coleonyx. Locality brevis, so that I can pair up and show the different. It's kind of like Alterna. We find these things as bycatch with Alterna, which is funny because I have found an Alterna, but I have never found a Coleonyx in the wild. But my buddies that go herb West Texas a lot, I told them, hey, any Coleonyx, I'm trying to pair up localities. And so Black Gap and Iran, huge difference, right? Big difference in looks. The brevis are super good. That's all I have in my collection right now. I gave my old pair of Variegatas to Brian Lovins, who's had great success with them, and I'm hoping to get some Variegatas wild caught from a certain somebody if that does happen. My biggest goal with those, and I've already spent a year working on it. I've spent 2 years working on it, and this is another year where I'm gonna try to hit it hard. I'm trying to find a reticulatus. get those going in the hobby. Can't sell them. That's okay. I'll send them to all y'all. But they just don't exist in the hobby with the exception of 1 or 2 collections. And, it's a leopard gecko size Coleonyx. It's a brevis the size of a leopard gecko. So it's hard to beat. But brevis are an absolute treat to keep. And I've talked about this a million times. The attitude, the angst they have, the resiliency of the things. I will admit, this winter I had my pair of babies that I hatched out from wild caught female, laid eggs, incubated 2 gorgeous little babies. We're doing great. Lost both of them. My fruit fly supplier, I didn't have fruit flies for like 4 days. Like the second my fruit fly supplier didn't have fruit flies, I ordered some online. They got here 4 days later. The things are dead. You got to feed them almost every day. The babies are so tiny, so small. Their metabolism so fast. So I have a peanut worm. I think it's peanut worm collection now. Peanut beetle collection now. So I don't even have babies, but I'm keeping my that bug supply.
Yeah, those are perfect for that.
Yeah, and I can give them the larva. You got to have something on hand if you're gonna breed them. I'm gonna get a male this year. I will admit, if I find a male this year and it's not locality specific, I'll probably still breed them just to get some babies going, just because they're so cool.
Yeah, like I said, I just want a pair, and I want them to be one of the U.S. species. I don't even really care which one. They were so cool in Texas, man.
Yeah.
I think a pair is all I need, and my room stays warm enough to where I could reasonably keep a pair in like a 15 quart or something on a shelf, and
they're so damn easy to keep, and they eat so well, and they're I told the story on Bill's podcast about my male my Trottis, different species, that I was without power. It was 10 degrees, the walls were frozen, that little male just dug down into his little bedding and still bulletproof. God, he's nine years old now. He's got to be 9 because I've had him for mine take about 2 years to become sexually mature. I usually give them about 6 months till I'm breeding them. I try to shoot for 3 years. They don't grow fast. My male was an adult, massive when I got him. He's huge now. You've seen pictures of him for a Mitrotis. It's the biggest Mitrotis I've ever seen. And dude, he's got to be 9 years old. He could croak any day. That's a long time for a wild caught Mitrotis. But he fathered. Man, I don't remember my buddy's name. I started hatching out between him and a wild caught female, like not patternless, but like almost striped babies. So I gave a lot of my babies are sold or traded to a local guy, Brian Lovins. Again, a huge shout out to Brian Lovins. He started breeding those together. He's producing like patternless Mitrotis, and they're gorgeous. They have all that kind of jungle speckled base color without the stripes.
Wow.
And dude, just that's a whole nother species.
I'm surprised. I need to look. That is one group that I am surprised there's not like a book out on or something, like a dedicated book, because that
eyelash
seems like that
geckos,
genus seems big enough to where they could put.
There is a gentleman on Facebook, and I don't remember his name, that has written the Coleonyx book, and he breeds every species of Coleonyx that is available in the hobby. I think he's even got Sweetak. Yeah.
Sweetak,
yeah. The starry ones. And he breeds the leucistic variegatus, which are really cool because they're not actually leucistic. They're more like palmetto kind of. They have some patterning and speckling on them, almost like a calico. He breeds those, but he was working on a book, and a lot of the community was sending him pictures and stuff. But the eyelash geckos book, which I've talked about before, great book. But that kind of covers all of the eublephaриds. But that whole group is just so. I could have a room with eublephaриds and just be the happiest person in the world. Just all the cave geckos, all the leopard geckos, all the fat tails. There's the hardwicki. I don't know, whatever fat tails are. There's a whole nother species in that group that only a couple people work with, and then all the Coleonyx. Dustin, our buddy, works with Elegons. I think I'm planning on getting a couple from him of those, and it's just another. Oh man, gosh, you could just pontificate on them things all day. It's a treat to keep. My biggest thing with those, they're not expensive enough, so people don't want to mess with them. right?
Yeah.
Like these cheap species go under the radar forever, and then they're gone. Luckily, those are North American species, so we have direct access to a lot of them. But the stuff, some of the Mexican species, reticulatus in particular, is more endemic to Mexico than it is North America. I mean, I know 2 people on this planet that have reticulatus, and now that they're no longer protected in Texas, you can collect them. You can collect up to a certain number with the correct license. You cannot sell them, but you can. I could ship you one or something.
Yeah.
If I got them going. But that's an animal that needs to be in the hobby, man. This giant Coleonyx leopard gecko size thing.
I remember that was the one the guys were
Yeah.
really hoping to find when we were out there.
It is rare. John, Lassiter goes out to West Texas every time the weather is good, and he's seen one DOR, and that's it. I know people that live out there and have seen 1 or 2. It's not a species. Back on snakes. I bred beauty snakes this year. I bred Chinese beauties.
Yeah.
Super kind of took a little bit of information I found online, and talking with some local guys that had kind of worked with them. Not a lot of people had success breeding them. So I keep mine in racks. They don't really have heat on them, so they're about 76, 78 degrees max. I keep mine on like cocoa husk, eco earth, a mix. Do a nice mix of it. Keep them at a good humidity. I like to see those. My room ambient humidity is about 55%. 55%. Yeah, 55%. That's the right way to say that. They get sprayed probably every other feeding on one side. Again, options. So I try to hit one side. And so I brumated them. I read some article online about somebody breeding them, and they said when you brumate them, don't get them too cold. Don't get them, definitely put them into a brumation cycle. So I put them in the closet with the corn snakes, but brumate them humid. Now, I'm saying this in the sense that people do not take this as textbook. This is the way to do it. But I brumated them on Eco Earth with a water bowl, and it wasn't wet. It was, it just wasn't dry, right? And that is absolutely contrary to everything else you brumate. You see any humidity in brumation, it's a red flag, right?
Right.
Dude, stop right there, right? That's a respiratory infection guaranteed to happen. This is an animal that's going to potentially start stressing out. Don't do it. But I brumated them a little humid, and like there was even times when in brumation I would see little speckles of humidity, and I was like, oh god, that's got me worried. Oh man, I don't know. I would check on them. I check maybe once a week, once every 2 weeks, both, and I brumated them together too. So I cohabbed them during brumation, which isn't something I always do. I cohab my San Diego Gophers, I cohab them, and I cohab the Kankakee bulls during brumation. And dude, pulled them out, separated them. Both looked perfect, right? You expect a little bit of weight loss, maybe a little bit of weight loss more into males because they'll start cruising a little early in a warmer brumation like that. And dude, they came out looking gorgeous. They were in their hide the entire brumation. I doubt they even had water, right? They were just cuddled up next to each other, and took them out, started feeding them. They immediately started feeding. Female went right into a shed. The day the female shed, that was the day of the reptile show. That was sometime in February. Paired them up, immediate lock, right? And they stayed locked for a long time, like king snakes. And separated them a couple, maybe the next week after feeding. I paired them up again. Heavy chickens, lots of chickens or chicks. They can eat rats, but I feed mine a couple mice, like 2 mice or 3 or 4, 2 or 3, 4 chicks, especially for the female. And I only paired them up a couple times, and then I immediately saw the female. They were on other sides of the tub, right?
Yeah.
They didn't want anything to do with each other. So I stopped pairing them up because usually that's a sign that it ain't gonna happen, right? And I was like, oh, okay,
They're done.
dude. I even messaged Rob Stone and asked him about it. I was like, this female went into shed, pre-lay shed, 20 days after first lock, something like that, fast.
Wow.
And I was like, there's no way she's grabbing. I even told him, he was like, well, with rhino rat snakes, sometimes we'll see a pre-ovulation shed. And I was like, okay, maybe she's ovulating. And dude, she shed, and she was so massive because it's a thin snake. It's a very lithe animal, and I tried pairing them up again. I was like, maybe she's ovulating now because she's huge, like she's fat, and nothing to do with each other. Females getting defensive, I could tell. I was like, you know what? Maybe this ain't my year. I don't know. Maybe she's gravid. And dude, 14 days after pre-lay shed, boom, 4 perfect eggs and a slug. And the slug almost looked perfect. Like it was right there. Didn't see veins in any of the eggs. Any of them. Right, like all the eggs, I was like, are they supposed to have veins? I don't know. And man, 2-3 days later, I went and checked on it in the incubator. Perfect veins.
Yeah,
so
I've heard that with like the Jansenii and stuff too.
Yeah.
It's like some of those Asian species, you'll get them, and if you candle them right away, you're not going to see anything. But if you give them like a week for whatever reason, then you start seeing veins. It's odd.
And it's a hard shell. It's not It's not a hard shell. It's not like a chicken egg. Definitely a different texture. Yeah, it's thicker. It's and they're long and thin. But man, after pre-lay shed, I knew she was gravid within days after that. It's like the eggs formed overnight. You could see each egg in her belly, and it was obviously she's calico, so there's a little bit of transparency there. But another species. Not a lot of eggs. They're big eggs. They're very big eggs. Long, big eggs. She bounced back immediately. She don't even look like she laid eggs. And immediately went back to eating. She shed right after she laid again. So you're talking about a snake that had this year already had 3 sheds. That's probably 5 foot long. I don't know. She's a pretty good sized snake. And so, and I'm keeping her the same way. I've heard they can double clutch, so I just kept her egg box in there with her. And I did 2 egg boxes. So I did an egg box on the backside, an egg box on the front side. The backside does have heat tape. It's, again, set at 78. And that's just because, I had the heat tape there because there are colder. It's Corpus Christi weather, Jake. It'll randomly be 19 degrees and then the next day 100 degrees. So I don't want them getting too cold. I do want them to have that option. But yeah, so now she has a hide, a lay box in the front. And she's cruising. She looks great. I don't plan on pairing them back up because I don't necessarily want to double clutch. But if they do double clutch or triple clutch or whatever, it's great. But I'm incubating them in the incubator, which I keep my incubator low temps. A lot of people talk about incubating 82 to 84 degrees. My incubator set at 80, straight 80. It turns on at 80. It shuts off at 80.3. And with the Govee in there, I see temps between 80 and about 80.5, actually, about a half a degree swing. And that's a hot box from Sea Serpents. Probably the best incubator on the market. I don't know. I have not.
I would have to agree.
What a great piece of equipment. Solid built. It's got ventilation built into it. Kris can't build anything wrong. All my racks are from him. And not to say there's not other great rack manufacturers. I do plan on at some point getting some BlackBox stuff. But Sea Serpents makes some just stellar products. But yeah, so that it worked. I don't know if I necessarily did things right or I got lucky. I'm a big fan of being lucky and not good at things. I'd rather be lucky than good. But that's, that there could be a million caveats in the way I did things. Brumating them slightly humid,
it
not
worked.
Wet.
Whatever it was, it worked.
But it worked. And so if it works twice, I'll say that it's probably a good way to do things. If it works 3 or 4 years in a row, I'll say it's the right way to do things.
Well, did you ask Billy? Like, does Billy do something similar?
It's kind of funny. Me and Billy talk. I don't think we've ever talked about breeding Orthriophis.
Which is weird.
We probably should.
Yeah, you definitely should. Billy's all about that old world rat.
I had a female.
You guys and Kasiki are the only 3 in the gang that have them.
And Prairie Land Herbs. Who's the guy that I got my pair from? Prairie Land Herbs.
I mean, in our circle.
Right. Oh, in our group. Yeah. I was about to say because a couple. Yeah, but no. I do need to talk with Billy. I sent him one of my. I had a pair of Ridley Eye. They're F1s. From a biology teacher that wanted gargoyle geckos that sent me a pair, but they were like right out of the egg.
I want those so bad.
They're cool.
I want Ridley Eye bad.
My female right off the rip started eating, no problem. And Billy, actually, I gave him my female. The male, he ate sometimes, and then he stopped eating. And then I started tailing him because, that was my immediate, like, I at least want to get something into the snake. Scenting didn't work. They didn't want to eat birds. They didn't want to eat lizards. And I tried a couple things. You want to talk about a species, they don't have a big window of failure, right? Like, it's a couple weeks and they're done. That snake just died, right? Like, it did not take much. The female, he still got her. She's gangbusters, right? Eats every time you feed her. That male probably went 3 weeks without a meal and just absolutely crashed. Just boom, right there. Like, it did not take. They're
when they go downhill, they go quick.
They go quick, and I think that's probably true for a lot of the Asian rat snakes. I bet that's true for a lot of those rainforest, moderate temperature animals. They're so used to such a consistent, inherently used to a consistent temperature and feeding schedule. Maybe in the wild, I don't know if that's the right way to say that. Maybe they don't eat that often, but they're so used to a specific temperature being in a cave that. Okay, well, I'm not eating, and now I'm also getting a temperature swing every day. I'm done. Right?
Yeah, I mean, you think about caves, that's a very static environment where, airflow and temps are probably pretty stable pretty much constantly. So
And I also, and like with the cave, like snake-wise stuff, I always think about bats.
Yeah.
And how
bats.
much bats are in the diet of some of these cave dwelling species, especially like the small, like little, because there are bats that are like itty bitty.
And
you know what I
bats,
mean?
right?
Like baby bats.
So.
Yeah,
Itty-bitty
no,
bats.
absolutely. But I mean, like there's small bats. There's very small species of bats that have these itty bitty tiny little babies. So I wonder if that could be part of some of their smaller diets.
Baby bats.
Itty bitty baby bats.
Goodness, it could be.
I don't know. I think if that were the case, we would have a lot less success with Ridley Eye across the board in the hobby.
I think a lot of people are having a bunch of success with them.
No, they're not. Like I really don't see Ridley Eye like ever. But I mean, I occasionally
frog legs, man.
Yeah,
it could be. That could
be one of them.
Frog legs.
Yeah.
I'm sold.
I mean, give him a little piece of meat as a baby. A little piece of frog leg.
That little baby chondro goes nuts on something like a piece of frog leg, dude.
And that's something I probably need to get a box of because that's great. I mean, especially like with king snakes this year with king snakes. So I have either gravid or post prelay. I have Leonis, Ultra Granite Mex, my Ciudad Intergensis Baja California Kings, which are really neat. They're like this micro species of Baja or of California King. That female's gravid about the shed. 2 pairs of Alterna have locked up 5 times. So Alterna always lock up last as far as king snakes go. But dude, you got to work on the tricks to start feeding those. But I'm not against trying to feed a sliver of a frog leg, right?
Well, that's whenever I breed chondros again, that's definitely something I'm anxious to try as a first meal to see if there's any better reaction to that than chick down scented stuff. But be interesting.
Could you guys give me a minute? 1 minute?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine.
Unacceptable.
Yeah, dude, you could probably take one frog leg and like feed like half a clutch of baby chondros with one leg. Like that would be pretty.
Well, that pretty
ideal.
I mean, even less than that, considering how small they are. You just really needed like a sliver, but
like a little piece.
I think it'd be good to alternate in that capacity because, like we've said before, frog legs are pretty much all protein and not a whole lot else. So
you definitely don't want it as like the only thing you feed, but definitely a good extra.
I gotta chop the box I have. Split them up.
Yeah, I still have a bunch. I just haven't gotten around to feeding more of them off. I don't have that many. I need to start trying to feed them to carpets, honestly.
Yeah.
But
I'm getting to the point where I know who's likely to eat them and who won't, so I'm not wasting them, which is nice.
Yeah.
But Yeah, it's just like it's nice that there's the chondros enjoy them and the boyga go nuts for them, and it's like 50-50 on the corns eating them. The Jansen I all eat them. I think I tried pieces with the rhinos, and I think I got very skeptical. Like they're checking it out, but they're like, this doesn't seem
Not
like
so
food.
sure yet. Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see. But I'm hoping. My plan is to if my rhinos, the female rhino, should be up to size by next year. So I should. My plan right now is that they should be on track to breed next year, and that would be another one. Would be interesting to see if you can get babies to eat frog leg.
Frog chunks.
Yeah.
Dude, rhinos are gonna be badass.
I know, man. I freaking love them.
Those things are so cool. They're, God, what a cool animal. They're
better than barons.
I can't have barons, so I don't get to pick which one.
Oh, you just have to trust me when I say rhinos.
Then give me your barons.
No, I like my barons. It's not that I don't like them. It's just if someone put a gun in my head and said, "You rhinos or barons," it's gonna be rhinos 11 times out of 10.
But my trepidation between the two, I feel like rhinos may have a little bit more complexity to the care, making sure babies may be a little tougher to get feeding.
That's their one big downside is like babies can be a real pain in the ass.
I mean, so can Alterna, but probably one of the best snakes to keep, right?
I don't think Alterna can be beat in terms of pain in the assness when it comes to babies. Like, dude.
So I know this for a fact.
Don't plan on breeding them ever again in my life.
Dude, I had no problems with my Alterna, but
I love them.
It's really easy to say that.
I'm not against keeping them.
Yeah,
but I don't want to breed them ever again.
It's easy for me to say that I didn't have problems with my Alterna when the guy, right, like the dude that gets all these things to eat, is whispering over my shoulder, "Hey, try this next." "Oh, well, try this next." "Yeah, go take that pinky and rub it in the dirt, see if it takes that." "Oh, it didn't do that." Throw it in the wine fridge and brewmate it for 2 months and see what it does after that. Comes out and it starts eating freeze thawed, like right off the rip, right? So I know years ago, I don't know if I've ever talked about my pyros. I had a pair of pyros. I got them on a trade for some gargoyle geckos years ago. Fun fact, John Lassiter is actually going to be breeding these pyros this year. So I got them. They didn't eat for a year and a half on their own. I did literally everything.
I believe it.
And then I got them eating finally, and it was intermittent for the first 2 months. And then once they started going, once they were eating, they were good. Pyros can be tough, but nothing else looks like that, right? Like it's the risk to reward as far as getting them going. This Mexicana stuff, yes, it can be difficult to get them going. Guerrero can be extremely tough from what I hear. Some of the Mexican milk species, I have Anulata, they can be tough to get going. Alterna are notoriously difficult, but all that was told to us years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. The papers were wrote, the books were wrote, many books were wrote about them. Those forums exist. Plan on it and know that it's going to be difficult, and have the escape plan. Have the gun loaded next to your bed. You know what I mean? When shit starts going downhill, pop off. You know what I mean? Get ready. It's
get clapped.
You know what I mean? Stay strapped, get clapped. Have the escape plan. Have the lizards in the freezer. I had one of mine started eating on what is this stuff? I'm gonna reach over here. This is live. We're actually doing this. I have these Reptilinks juices. One of mine started going on gecko juice. Only one, but by the in the end, the hardest one took a brumation, came out of brumation, and ate boiled with a couple drops of gecko juice on it. It ate once. The next time, a week after that, it ate boiled. And then I think the next meal was boiled. The next week it skipped. And then like the week after that, it ate frozen thawed, and it did 5 or 6 meals straight frozen thawed, eating off tongs, right? So once those animals get going, Alterna are bulletproof. Get them cold, get them hot. They don't care. I mean, they're West Texas. Justin, you were there. It's 95 degrees during the day and 62, 58 at night, and that's what these. What's difficult, yes, but it's tough to say they're not difficult. Yes, they are difficult, but it is it's sort of.
I think they're going to be easier for you and people out west that have access to like fence lizards and things that they're naturally going to be partial to, because that seemed to be the silver bullet for me. Was we got our hands on a fence lizard and froze that, and sent it with that, and it was night and day, so I think it's one of those things where it's like, if I was going to do them again, I'd definitely get my hands on fence lizards and
load the gun
ready to just have it ready, because that, I don't know, man, it was just super frustrating when it was like, you can tell they were like, initially they'd be interested,
they'd go up,
they'd check it out, and then they just, after a few minutes, they'd be like, yeah, whatever, I don't want it. It's just like, you're so close, I can tell you're right there, damn it.
And then they start eating, and you cannot stop them, because every time.
And then it's whatever. Then you're good, but it's just crossing that threshold. It's a pain.
I already plan on doing the lizard thing with like baby rat snakes. I'm gonna gather up as many Mediterranean day geckos we can find and freeze them and just have them.
What rat snakes are you planning to be difficult?
I mean, some of the little tiny yellows and Everglades, and some of that stuff can be kind of.
A lot of those will also do really well on live. So, my Everglades, I did have a couple that were a pain in the ass. Didn't really go for scenting, but would do okay with live.
Like just a straight live pinky.
Straight live pinky, tiniest pinky, like fresh out of the mother's womb. Right. Chris Montrose, who we hope to have on Corn Stars soon, sent me some videos of how he tease feeds a lot of his like Florida rats. And he's like, yeah, I don't scent anything. I just do this. And he sent me this video, and I was like, holy shit, that's like not what I expected. And then when I saw a video of him doing it, and he needs to make a YouTube video or something, because he's, the guy's, again, another just deep well of knowledge on these
things. He's the freaking guru, man.
Yeah, he's the guy. And I was like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. And so this year with my Everglades, there's another species, bred really late last year. I cohab mine. They kind of got a natural cooling, kind of went through a natural food cycle. I think they'll go again. I don't know. They're you had a pair. I think you lost one. I lost one too. They a pain in the ass, tailing rat snakes, shoving tails down their throat. It doesn't really work.
No, I did that once with the one I lost, and I was like, not doing this. No.
The only species I had luck tailing was the pyros. I tailed my pyros for forever, and then hognose. So Mexican hognose, which I bought. I like buying snakes out of the egg. I bought some Alterna out of the egg this year and got them all going. That was kind of because I didn't have super good success with my Alterna egg incubation. Ask Lassiter about that. How do you incubate Alterna eggs or Mexicana eggs? It's very different. There's a plan you need to have because they can't get too overhydrated because they'll drown in the egg. So my Alterna, out of like 10 eggs, I got like 5 or 6, something like that. I had a pretty low survival rate. But I didn't have to tail any of my Alterna. But the pyros I had to tail for a long time. The Mexican hogs, which Ryan has now, Ryan Cox. I tailed those for a little while because I just didn't. Again, my gun was not loaded. I thought, maybe I'll boil a pinky and it'll be good. And then I stopped tailing them, and I was like, okay, I've got to sort this out. And those, it was a spattering of different things. But 2 of them ended up going on tuna juice on wash pinkies, and then the third one that was a massive holdout. I tried everything with, would not do toad setting. They did not want toads. Ended up going on a wash pinky soaked in Campbell's chicken noodle soup.
No way!
Yeah,
oh my God!
Which I saw in like a hognose breeder's video talking about scenting for hognose. He's like, yeah, try Campbell's chicken noodle soup. And I was like, nah. And I did it. And I still have a bag of frozen chicken noodle soup that I use and a bag of frozen tuna juice that I use. And for whatever reason, dude, that thing started going, and it took like 3 or 4 scentings. And it was just like, oh my God, pinkies are great. Now, I think he bred them this year. I think Cox bred those things this year.
Yeah, he's trying. I know he's
or
trying.
got
I
a
don't know
lock
if
or
he.
something.
I don't know if he's gotten anything from him yet, but
But
I know he's
dude,
trying.
So it's plan on it. You know what I mean? I had some corns this year that were tough. Most corns go frozen thawed right off the rip. My next step is boiling pinks, and they start going with that. I had a couple holdouts. I did have a couple that just didn't make it. You know what? You have 80 steaks. A couple of them just it ain't gonna happen.
Yeah.
I had a beautiful Motley Snow girl last year, and I did everything to keep the snake alive. Tail, and she just never was gonna eat. And I think I just made a conscious
Wasn't meant
decision.
to be.
Yeah, I made a conscious decision at one point. I was like, look, I have tried scenting with every lizard I have, scenting with chicken, scenting with tuna, scenting with chicken noodle soup, and this snake is not going to eat. I tried live scented. I tried live brained. You start trying some stuff, and it's like, this snake ain't going to eat, and it met its end and became.
There's a reason Mom has 15.
Yeah, right.
And that's why and it sounds like kind of fucked up or whatever, but like that's why I don't push tailing that hard, because like that is exactly why snakes have so many babies. They have so many eggs, because some are just bound to not do well.
Yeah.
And it's like, and that's the other thing. If you keep that thing alive and you basically force it to live, what's it going to reproduce?
Yeah.
What do you think? Those shitty traits are just going to be passed on to its offspring, and it's like, what good are you doing the hobby at that point?
Don't try to keep it alive.
I'm saying try. I'm saying try to keep it alive, but I'm saying don't force it to be alive. You know what I mean?
There's a little
caveat. A fine line.
There's a caveat. There's a fine line on that, and I think you intend this when you say that. If I have 100 corn snakes and 90 of them eat mice, those other 10 might not make it. If I have 3 cyanea and they don't want to eat mice, it makes sense.
Different
right?
story. Yeah, different story.
The 4 people in this country that have bred them, right, are like, no, they started out on tails. So it's this animal is not. It's a rat snake. It's not eating rats. What's wrong? You know what I mean? And maybe those are not things that we need to put genetically into the hobby. Animals that don't do that, you're not going to have 90% of your Alterna starting out on frozen thawed. You're not going to, and if you do, good God, right? Breed that line of Alterna.
Yeah, don't stop ever.
Yeah, don't stop. I had one off the rip eat frozen thawed, and I was just like, I did it. I won. I was like, I'm the man. I'm the best. I've literally done it.
I win.
I've kept Alterna for. I'm 37. I got my first Alterna when I was 18, so I've kept Alterna for 19 years. I've tried to breed them probably 5 or 6 years in there, but I didn't really think about cooling them, even though every book I read said cool them. And then I finally breed them after all these years, because I finally have somebody that's like, yeah, let me put them in my deep freezer for 4 months. And they breed like gangbusters. When the things are cooled and they come out, they shed, they are ready to go. And, but I knew right off the bat, they're not going to eat frozen. That's not what they do. They don't want live. They don't want mice. And in all actuality, I wish I could have lizards to feed them for the first year of their life. You find a wild-caught male, female, doesn't matter. That's 1 year, 2 years old. They'll always eat mice. That's what they will eat in the wild. But those babies, there are not mice that small. You have kangaroo rats out there. But, your vermin level out there is very low, especially in the mountains. They're eating lizards, they're eating geckos, they're eating stuff like that. So,
yeah, no. I do, and I love the species. I did enjoy them very much when I had them, but like I said, like breeding wise, I'm very not inclined to do that again.
Yeah, I think if somebody is looking for an animal that's calm, slow, eats great, is pretty bulletproof, and is just gorgeous. It's shocking what they look. Nothing else looks like that, right? None of the Mexican kings look like that. Maybe your Mex kind of have a similar look, but they have this gray, silver, blue, and orange. You're not going to find another snake like that. Buy one from a reputable breeder that already has it feeding. You're going to pay a premium now. I mean, alternative sell for $300 a baby now if they're eating.
Yeah.
They're $200 a piece, give or take. Not eating, right? You get some F1s or something, you're paying $200 out of the egg. You're going to pay for it, but you're going to have something that's going to live a long time, is going to be easy to keep, and it's going to be special. So that's a thing for anybody still listening at 2 hours and 20 minutes. If you're looking for a snake and you don't know about snakes already, I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh hell yeah! Cinco de Mayo.
But speaking of being at 2 hours and 20 minutes, it's about time.
If people aren't already
wrap
aware
this bad boy up.
of where they can get a hold of you, which if they've listened to this show for any extended period of time, they should already know and be familiar with the THP Man of the Year for 2021.
Yeah, we're out here. We're just making moves.
We're out here, it's whatever.
Yeah. Honestly, the best way to get a hold of me, my name's Kris Painschab. Message me on Facebook. I don't do anything with my Badlands Herpetoculture page on Facebook anymore because Facebook really doesn't. Chris with K, K-R-I-S, P-I-N-S-C-H-A-B.
KRIS1.
KRIS1. Oh, man. Great artist. But yeah, just message me directly on Facebook or go to Instagram. I try to post regularly. I'm extremely bad at social media.
It's because you're old.
I'm old. I'm fucking old. Badlands Herpetoculture on Instagram, and God, anybody that messages me, I tell everybody this. Message me. I love talking. I may take me a bit of time to message you back, but anybody that knows this, message me. I'm gonna talk to you about reptiles. I love it. It's gonna happen. It takes a while. Sometimes I work a lot. I got a kid. Got a family. I'm on the go all the time. I'm always trying to get out and herp and have time with my wife and time with my kids. So
what a weirdo.
Yeah. I just never stop, never sleep. Message me. I'll message you back. I do have, if anybody's interested, I have some bacon line gargs ready to go that are just killers.
Bacon line stuff is good. It's nice.
Bacon line stuff is good, man. I'm gonna have a lot of snakes this year. Don't really know how I plan on marketing anything. I don't really do morph market or anything like that. Not that that's a bad avenue. I usually just post stuff on Instagram. Probably just gonna send it all to my friends. Y'all are just getting a whole bunch of snakes this year.
I can't wait for another Kris box. God damn it!
I know. I love just. I'm just
Christmas.
I held back so many snakes last year, and then I slowly have to get rid of them. I send them to y'all. I'm just like, all right, I gotta. I can't get rid of the snake, but y'all have to keep it forever because I can't keep it. Hey, I'm gonna tell this everybody out there that doesn't know me that wants to buy snakes this year. I may be hitting the prices a little harder this year. Mice have gotten really expensive.
Yeah.
Shipping's gotten really expensive.
I mean,
yeah,
it's hitting hard this year.
Farm shirt on, so
hey, whenever you start sending frozen,
we're working on it, man. We're slowly getting there.
God, it's expensive. I think my rodent bill is around $700 a month right now.
God.
So
Ow.
What?
15 to 20 small rats a week. I don't know, 50 mice a week, something like that. Dude, it adds up, man. And then plus shipping. My every other week box is about $300. So give or take, right? Give or take. And I'm already slowing down on feeding males, which instead of doing weekly feedings, I start going to about 10-day feedings. Some of the corn snake males, you're going to eat every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, something like that. My Pitchiophis, you don't feed a male for 2 weeks. You do that for a couple months, you're going to know real quick. He's going to get thin. So the pits are big. They shit big. They eat big. And a big thing for people out there that are looking for pointers on trying to save money on mice right now, go with chicks. You know what I mean? If you've got a snake big enough to eat chicks, they're cheaper. I think it's been talked about before. I don't know the dietary quality of a chick compared to a jumbo mouse or a large mouse or even a small mouse. But man, when you're breeding, I think I was pairing up 19-20 pairs this year. You're putting a lot of money into those females, getting them going. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then when each of those mice is $1, $1.50 or whatever. I don't know off the top of my head the exact. And you're feeding them every 3 days after brumation, or every 5 days after brumation, or every 3 days after laying eggs, and you feel it. But just You guys know this.
Expect increases, and we've heard that from multiple people.
Yeah,
you know,
it's
a
a
lot of people are saying that. So
I mean,
completely understandable.
There's probably no such thing as a $35 or $50 or $60 corn snake anymore. I mean, it's just not.
Yeah,
It's just not going to happen. And now, I say that every normal I hatch, I give away to a kid at a show. So I don't know. They're still that,
kid.
right?
Good luck getting mice for cheap.
Dude, I always come with some scheme. Some parent comes over there looking at animals, and I'm just like, "Oh, you want a corn snake? Like, how much are these? They don't have prices on them." I'm like, "Oh,
you're in luck.
Welcome
Don't worry, it only eats chicken noodle soup.
It eats chicken noodle soup." Yeah. I think that's something that we're all gonna have to deal with as hobbyists.
Yeah.
This year, also financially, is just gonna be tough on everybody. Gas went up. Finances are lower than ever. We're not getting stimulus checks this year. People are still out of work. Shipping. Oh my God. Shipping $60 to $80.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't noticed any major changes in shipping for me.
Yeah, I just shipped to Mike Kasicki a couple weeks ago.
Reptiles Express.
I used
Reptiles Express. Yeah.
I used Reptile Express. I shipped to North Carolina for $38.
Yeah, it hasn't been bad.
I've almost got my, Reptiles Express. As you spend more money with them, you start getting discounts. I think I'm about to hit my 10% discount. I'm very close. But still, I mean, I shipped a 6x6x6 to Hardin County Reptiles, I believe.
Yeah, he's in Tennessee, I think.
Yeah, he's in Tennessee. It was $61. I mean, that's what it costs. Shipping supplies go up. Base 22s go up.
Dude, shipping supplies is one thing that people really don't take into consideration a lot. Like shipping supplies are not cheap. Like
somewhere on camera, you can see up here. I have all these boxes are full of boxes and foam and stuff. I don't know. I got all this shit in the garage. But yeah, it's a real deal, man. It's tough, and we're gonna. I'm not really making money off of snakes. Kind of funny. Make money off of cargo geckos, but I don't really make money off of snakes too much. To beyond pad the costs, but but those costs have to change. If some people manage things differently than me, I have my own account for snakes, right? Like, so I have a dedicated account that is only reptile money, right? It doesn't touch my bank account. It cannot touch my credit card, or if I don't even know if we have a credit card. It can't touch my bank account. It is only my PayPal account, and it has a dedicated bank account. And so once I start seeing that influx or deflux is difficult to handle with those rodent bills, man, the rodent bills been hitting me this year. So that we're all gonna have to kind of get through as hobbyists and see where that goes.
Yeah. Well, this has been a great episode,
Absolutely.
Kris. Thank you so much for pinch hitting last minute for us.
Anytime.
It's always fun to have you on. I was super stoked when Justin said you were going to come on. I was like, yes, get to talk to Kris.
We're gonna have John next week.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Barring any other scheduling things on our end. Anybody,
He's sending me West Texas pictures of skeletons he's finding.
Nice.
So
nice.
So this episode was brought to you by BlackBoxCages.com. Check them out. Check out their website, Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff. Steve Snaketuary, Venom Hot Sauce. Check that out too. SteveSnaketuary.com. All good people. We'll be back for Snakes and Stogies 119 Monday night. Remember, the May raffle is up on our website right now, herpeticulturenetwork.com. There is a really nice low expression red coastal from Eric Hernandez. The Cigar band, Snakes and Stogies tumbler, and some isopods and other Vivaria supplies from Puget Sound Python. So check that out. Everyone have a good evening, a good morning, a good day.
A good Cinco de Mayo.
Except Amber Heard.
No, fuck that bitch. You know what I mean?
Oh.
All right.
See ya.
Happy herping, y'all.
Happy.